What's up, everybody? Welcome to the lab. I'm your host. Sorry for the few minute delay. I know that irks some people, and trust me, nobody's as irked about it as I am. Okay, that's not true. You're probably more irked about it than I am, but I do apologize. And let's see here. Welcome. All right. Well, I appreciate that. Kelly K. Let me see who we got. Brian P. What's up, Brian P? Mary Ferry, wonderful mod. Kelly K. as well. Laura, good to see you. Sunry. Loonsley. Baldness. I don't know what that means. Anyway, good to see you guys. And if you would, please hit that like button. And yeah, also, I would like to apologize. Last night, midstream, I've used that term before for other reasons, but mid-show, excuse me, my internet went out and did not come back on until like late morning. So that sucked a lot, and I apologize. But it just went out, and I was going to. I'll probably redo it tomorrow or something. Yeah, it was midstream, straight up midstream. I left it, whatever it was. I left. It was only like a 15-minute show. I didn't get to put all my thoughts out there. Sometimes these things happen, but it's whatever. Anyway, so we got a really interesting case, and we will jump into that here pretty quick. But this is a case that I have been following, not so much on this channel, but on Lab After Dark. I've really sort of paid attention to the goings on in this case. And it's an ugly one. It's as ugly as it gets, and we'll talk about that a little bit more here as we go on, and we will watch the We'll watch the press conference. That there's a lot of moving parts to this one, man. I mean, they could be seeking the death penalty here. Seriously, Otis, come on. I got to get a new doorknob. Specifically today, my doorknob decided that it was no longer going to latch. and Otis tests the doors. And so he's peeking. He was able. He just pushed it open, and it's about that. You can see the light back there if you look. And he's peeking his head in. Hey, are you going to come in or not? Because you're not going to do that again in 20 minutes. Doorknobs midstream. Hold on. I'm sorry. Give me a second here. Otis, come on, bud. Hey, come on. Come on. Hey. Get back in. You're going to push my door open and you're going to go in. Come on. Up. You don't just get to push the door open and then walk away. That's not how it works. You might think that's how it works, but that's not how it works. You're a pill. He's a pill. Okay. He thinks that he can just push the door open and walk away, and that's exactly what he did. And I said no, because what he'll do is in 5 minutes he went and jumped back on the couch in the living room, and what he'll do in 15 more minutes is he will come back and do it again. Anyway. Oh, he's a pill. He's a pill. So anyway, now we will, where was I? Okay, so, there's a lot of moving parts in this investigation, in this case. It's possible that they seek the death penalty, although there's a moratorium on the death penalty. There is a governor's race coming up, and maybe by the time this gets to trial, you could have a governor that lifts that, which is completely possible. And that's, been a lot of talk recently because there are people on death row in California. California does have the death penalty. And, it's a major possibility, and also possibly a bargaining chip, possibly, depending on the evidence that they have. This is very strategic, I believe. And Joey H., good to see you. Scott Peterson's death conviction was actually overturned, and it was commuted to life without parole, which, whatever. But, it could, I wouldn't get your hopes up about the death penalty being sought in this case. But depending on the evidence, it is possible. Now, there is a lot that he's been charged with. A lot. I mean, he is charged with some of the most heinous crimes. First of all, he is an accused pedophile. And from the way that I understand it, it sounds as though they were talking about, or that they were possibly investigating this. And I've seen a lot of people really critical of the parents. And I'm not going to go there because it sounds like she was reported as a runaway. And if you've ever had kids and a kid runs away, and some of you have probably had children that run away, there is not a lot of things that you can do when a child runs away and they're bound and determined to run away. It is a major problem, especially at a certain age. Kids run away, and it sucks. And so it seems like her parents had reported this to that she had been reported as a runaway. And it's like, it's just very, very sad, Yeah, kids run away, man. They really, really do run away. And it's basic. One of the scariest things as a parent, and for those of you who are new-ish parents, the scariest thing that can happen is when your child realizes that there's not a lot of recourse with those sorts of things. And when your hands are tied when it comes to the punishments that you can dole out to your children, you certainly cannot lock them up and lock them away. It's a very, very bad feeling knowing that you don't have a lot of control. Now there is a period of time where you do have control, I guess, where kids think that you rule the world and that you're, the all knowing, everything. And that is a thing. There are people that present themselves as like that to their children, and their children buy it. And then at some point it's sort of like the veil is kind of gone, where a child kind of realizes, hey, you don't have as much power over me as you thought that you did. And it sucks. And at some point, there are parents that go, if you want to run away, good luck to you, because I cannot do this anymore. And some children just are that way. And I'm not saying that they're bad kids for doing it. I'm saying that they're misguided. And that doesn't mean that they don't have a lovely home. That doesn't mean that they don't have parents that don't love them. It's just sometimes kids lose their way. Sometimes kids are influenced by the wrong things. That doesn't mean that it's always the parent's fault. And I don't want to lay any blame personally at the parents' feet during this, because the parents certainly are not charged with this. The parents are not responsible for her being killed. I do not believe that at all. And I would argue with anybody that would come at it from that point of view, is that sometimes kids just lose their way. They just do. And it's heartbreaking. And this seems to be that sort of case where a child was influenced by somebody who was popular, with money, with celebrity. And it seems as though he preyed upon a young lady, a young girl. It's reported that she was as young as 11 years old at the time. This is not her fault either. When you're that age, you don't think clearly. You're impressionable. God, I remember being 11, 12, 13, 14, and there were just people that I would look up to that were just, you find out years down the road, they're just bags of shit. And all you can really do when your child runs away, and I know that there's somebody inevitably, and there's probably somebody watching this right now that will inevitably go, Josh, you don't know what you're talking about. Well, I do. I had two boys. I have two boys that I went through this. The kids threaten to run away when they get angry. My kids never did it. And I'm blessed, because there wouldn't have been a lot that I could do. There wouldn't have been a lot that I could do. I wish And I'm really glad that I didn't have to go through those sorts of things. And if you haven't, then, but I'm telling you, when your kids test you, it's not as easy as you think. Now, David, who by all accounts it sounds like, and from what I'm understanding, it sounds like he was being investigated for having a relationship with a minor, a sexual relationship with a minor. And it sounds like that's where this has all stemmed from. All of it. From the fact that he did not want this out, that she may have possibly threatened him with this. And it would certainly have locked him up and ruined his career. Now, I don't know how long he would have been locked up for, but it would have ruined his career. No question. People will say, that he's a pedo. I think the technical term, and I'm not here to split hairs with you, is hebephile. But when you are with children sexually as an adult, to me, it's all the same. It's all the same. It's disgusting. It's wrong on every level. And under the law, he should be held. And, that was another thing that I was very upset about with this case, was that I kept going, they have to know that there was this sexual relationship going on with him. They had to know it. And that I thought that they could have held him on that, but, unfortunately she was dead, and there was really, they weren't in the hurry that I wanted them to be in, or that you wanted them to. I believe the technical term is perv. No, that's the non-technical term, but it's also accepted. We will, judges, do we accept that? We accept it. Okay, good enough. Perv is a perv. So that would be not, look, if the Athena strain case, I talked about it a little bit on Lab After Dark. I think it's 445 or 446. I can't remember. It's not last night's, but it's the one before that. And if you're interested, I do talk about the death penalty a little bit, and we will. You can check that out if you're interested. And I talk a little bit about it, the Athena strain case, which is heartbreaking, and I just hate talking about that one too. But I did feel compelled one night when this was going on to talk about it. And so, anyway, we'll break this down a little bit, and we'll talk about what's going on here, and then we will convene. Okay, well, you wonder how many underage victims there are, but yeah, I don't know, man. It's just, who knows? Who knows? This guy's sick. Lying in wait. They charged him lying in wait. They've charged him with first-degree murder, and then they've charged him with sex with a minor, or continuous acts, or continuous sex with a minor, which is like lewd and lascivious. And lewd and lascivious, I believe, is the harshest of all. I believe so. So, first degree murder. All right. Oh, son of a gun. Oh, look, there's me. All right, here we go. Zelensky's going to hang out for a little bit. You know what, Joey? They'd probably take my stream down if I did it. His music sucks. I mean, it really does. Let me see. It's bad music, Joey. Yeah, but he has a song called Romantic Homicide. I mean, he was a freak in every sense of the word. Okay. Good thing I pay for the highest speed internet. The highest of speeds. Fiber. I don't even know if they give me a cut. I mean, sometimes they just shut your stream down. Son of a gun. Please hit that like button also. I never even heard of the guy other than that he was a gamer and that I think he had his own brand of Crocs, and I think he had a deal with Crocs, and he had a Fortnite character that he had a deal with some Fortnite shit. And by the way, if you're over 15 and a dude playing Fortnite, really, honestly, 17's the cutoff for me. I really can't get you got to move on to Call of Duty or, Rainbow Siege or something like that. But you got to Fortnite, you got to really stop.
Good morning. My name is Nathan Hochman. I'm the District Attorney of Los Angeles County. With me up here is Los Angeles Police Department Chief Jim McDonald. Also at this podium on the DA's side are the Assistant District Attorney Maria Ramirez, who oversees our special operations. We have John McKinney, who is our Director of Specialized Prosecutions. The Assistant Head Deputy District Attorney is Habib Balian of the Major Crimes Division. Deputy District Attorney Beth Silverman.
By the way, Beth Silverman is a dog, and I mean a dog when it comes. She is a great prosecutor. And I don't mean that in a bad way at all. I mean she is good, and I'm very excited that she is going to prosecute this case. I mean, she's good. So I look forward to that.
Major Crimes Division will be the lead prosecutor on this case. From the Los Angeles Police Department, we also have Captain Scott Williams.
She specializes in homicides too.
Who's the commanding officer of LAPD's Robbery Homicide Division. The Chief of Detectives, Alan Hamilton. The Director of Specialized Prosecutions, Mike Rimkunis, and the LAPD detective.
That's because Mark Gallegos has lost almost every single case he's ever tried defended. I don't know how he gets all the money that he gets, Joey. I think about that sometimes, and I'm going, that guy loses more cases than anybody that I've ever heard of.
Detectives on this case, Josh Byers and Corey Farrell. Today, I am announcing the charges against David Anthony Burke, the musician known as David, spelled D4VD.
By the way, that's not how you spell David.
In connection with the brutal and horrific murder of Celeste, a 14-year-old at that time. These charges include the most serious charges that a DA's office can bring. That is first-degree murder with special circumstances. The special circumstances being lying in wait, committing this crime for financial gain, or murdering a witness in an investigation.
So from what I take from that is that they were investigating him already for this inappropriate relationship with her. And he may have known that already, or he may have known that, or she had threatened him or something. I don't know. I'm curious about that.
These special circumstances carry with it, along with the first-degree murder charge, a maximum sentence of life without the possibility of parole or the death penalty. The determination on whether or not the district attorney's office will seek the death penalty will be made at a later time. Before I get into the actual charges, and there are additional charges against Mr. Burke, including continuous sexual acts, lewd and lascivious sexual acts with an individual under 14 years old, and mutilating a human remains of a body. Before I get into the description of these charges and their seriousness, I want to look at this as a parent. I am a parent of 3 children, and a parent's nightmare is a situation where your daughter goes out one night and never comes back. As we will show in a court of law, and what I also want to make sure about that the understanding of these charges is clear, is my description of these charges is not evidence that we are going to present in court. These charges, in fact, will not be evidence in the court. Evidence will be the witness testimony, the documents, and different types of admissible testimony.
Yeah, I can tell you exactly what the financial gain is. Financial gain is that he would be financially, and his career is over if it ever comes to light that he was having a relationship with a girl under 14 as an adult. So to save his career, and so he doesn't get in trouble, he eliminates her. And as my good friend Dr. Gary would say, and he coined the phrase elimination murder, he eliminated her because it would have ruined him. And that is where the for financial gain charge comes into play.
That we will admit into court in the prosecution, and if it leads to the eventual trial of Mr. Burke, to convince a jury of 12 people beyond a reasonable doubt that each and every one of these charges is true, as well as the special allegations and circumstances that have been alleged. Now, back to this being a parent's nightmare. On April 23rd, 2025, as been alleged by the complaint, Celeste, a 14-year-old at that time, went to Mr. Burke's house in the Hollywood Hills. She was never heard from again. On September 8th, 2025, as alleged in the complaint, Miss Celeste remains, her dismembered and decomposed remains were found in 2 bags inside of a front trunk of a car registered to Mr. Burke. Thereafter began an investigation. The investigation was to determine who killed, who murdered Celeste months and months before. That investigation was carried out in unison and in partnership between the LAPD's Robbery Homicide Division and the District Attorney's Office. At every point in the investigation, through the arrest and the filing of charges, the LAPD and the District Attorney's Office have worked in lockstep. There's been no disagreements amongst these entities in deciding how to proceed with this case, ultimately leading to these charges today. So what you have as well with these charges is that, again, there are 3 sets of charges that have been brought. The first-degree murder with special circumstances, and again, those special circumstances are lying in wait. That Celeste went to Mr. Burke's home on the night of April.
So basically they're saying that he lured her there under some false pretenses and then was going to kill her. I imagine that it sounds as though the medical examiner has a cause of death, and I think it sounds like they have one, even though they're, her body was badly decomposed. It's either going to be, I would think, either a gunshot wound that they can prove, or blunt force trauma to the head, unfortunately.
April 23rd, 2025.
But it's probably something that they can prove.
As alleged in the complaint, at his invitation.
And as graphic as that is, it's a good thing, because you need that. Somebody says it seems idiotic to have, he left her dismembered body in the car. Yeah, well, he's not exactly a genius. Possibly strangulation, but he doesn't strike me as the strangulation type.
And again, was not heard from again. The second is a special circumstance, being that this murder was committed for financial gain. As the evidence will show in court, the financial gain was for Mr. Burke to maintain his very lucrative,
seems like a puss,
musical career that Celeste was threatening on that particular night. The third charge, in addition to lying in wait and for financial gain, is murdering a witness to an investigation. In this particular case,
okay, they found. Are you saying they found stab wounds?
As the evidence will come out in court.
I hadn't heard that yet, but it's not. God, there's got to be all kinds of evidence then.
The witness to the investigation was Celeste, and the investigation was into the lewd and lascivious sexual acts committed by Mr. Burke that is the subject of count 2 of this complaint with Celeste while she was under 14 years old. I had the chance to meet with some of the family members of Celeste, and their grief is incalculable as to what happened to their daughter. What they have demanded, what we have assured them that the district attorney's office working with LAPD would give them, is the proof beyond a reasonable doubt on who killed their daughter.
I think what's going to be the downfall for him too is, a lot of young kids and, even middle-aged adults, but specifically, I would say the 60 and under crowd, 55 and under, most of us rely on our cell phones for almost everything. These kids in their 20s live on their cell phones. Everything is cell phone related. It's not like the mafia when they're throwing phones in the river or the lake and, getting rid of this kind of stuff. They talk about everything, and I mean everything, on their phones. And I think it's going to, and he was sort of an influencer, musician, video gamer, and he's probably one of those dudes that had like 3 phones, walked around with 2 of them. He live streamed, and all that kind of stuff. It was just, he live streamed video games. It's just that constant phone activity. And I can assure you that there's going to be an inordinate amount of that kind of evidence. And I think he's screwed.
On how their daughter was killed, when their daughter was killed, and bring that killer to justice. That killer that we have now charged is David Anthony Burke. We will have questions after I speak and Chief McDonald speaks. At this point, I invite Chief McDonald to speak.
Thank you very much. Good morning, and thank you all for being here. I want to begin by expressing my deepest condolences to the parents of Celeste Rivas. No parent or any human being should have to endure what you've gone through. Today, alongside DA Hochman and our partners at the LA County District Attorney's Office, and thanks to the tireless and hard work of our investigators at the LAPD, we're announcing the arrest and prosecution of David.
Diddy's bad. Diddy's a bad guy, but he's never been accused of dismemberment, as far as I know. Not yet.
Burke for the murder of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas. Throughout the 7-month investigation, this department has faced criticism for how we handled the case and for our decision not to provide details. I want to be clear about something. My duty is not to fuel speculation, it's to deliver justice, and that requires patience and discipline on everybody's part. This investigation was driven by a single purpose: to secure justice for Celeste Rivas and for those who loved her. We had to be certain that nothing we did or said would ever jeopardize this case.
So this is the first time I've ever seen this guy, and I've seen the public information officers talk.
Ms. Rivas was a reported runaway from Riverside County. During the course of our investigation, detectives learned that she had been involved in a sexual relationship with Mr. Burke when she was a minor and he was an adult. On April 23, 2025, Ms. Rivas arrived at Mr. Burke's home in the Hollywood Hills. That's the last time she was known to be alive. On September 8, 2025, Ms. Rivas's dismembered and badly decomposed body was discovered in the front trunk of Mr. Burke's impounded Tesla. From that moment forward, our investigators faced an extraordinary, difficult, and complex case. The condition of her remains delayed the medical examiner's ability to be able to determine cause of death. The substantial amount of time that passed between her death and the discovery meant that crucial evidence had degraded or disappeared. And as detectives worked to uncover the truth, they also had to sift through and debunk a great deal of false information circulating publicly. These challenges were real, and they required patience, precision, and an unwavering commitment to the facts. Despite these obstacles, and despite intense public pressure, our Robbery Homicide Division detectives remained steadfast in their duties. They recovered and analyzed a substantial amount of digital and forensic evidence. They stayed focused, disciplined, and committed to uncovering the truth. Their work, in close collaboration with the District Attorney's Office, has brought us to this moment today. I want to thank the District Attorney and his team, as always, for their partnership. This case demanded coordination, persistence, and a shared commitment to justice. Also, thank you to our media partners for showing up today and for sharing this important message with the public. And finally, to Ms. Rivas's family, we cannot undo the pain you are feeling. Our hope is that today brings some measure of accountability and a step in the journey toward healing. Please know that the Los Angeles Police Department remains fully committed to seeking justice on behalf of your daughter. Thank you.
So at this point,
A pretty no-nonsense situation there.
we'll take questions.
Anything more you can tell us about the fact that she was a witness in the criminal investigation, that she reported the abuse, who was doing our investigation?
The details of the allegations that have made, particularly with that special circumstance, will be produced in court.
Did you determine cause of death and the difficulty it was to determine both the manner, cause, and date?
So with respect to the coroner's report, we will be seeking quite quickly to provide an order to the court that now allows the coroner to release that report to the public.
And that's going to be horrific. But it sounds, well...
From the BBC, between the finding of the body of Celeste's body or her remains, why has it taken so long for an arrest to be made?
I think the police chief got it right. That in a situation where you don't have an eyewitness account, or we can't point to a video that shows the killer killing someone, you have to go through the very rigorous and thorough investigation to look at all the digital and forensic evidence. You have to speak with witnesses, often who are cooperative, and some who are not cooperative, in order to obtain all the information necessary to decide who did what, when, how, and what their mental state was at the time. That is what we've been doing over the last, between September 8th, roughly, and today when we bring these charges on April 20th. So again, it's a type of case that you want to make sure you get maximum information. And by the way, if there's anyone out there that has material...
By the way, I think, Elizabeth, you might have missed the beginning of the show. They reported her as a runaway. You don't know what they've reported, and you just don't know what they reported. You have no idea. I have no idea. What are they going to charge her parents with?
Information about this particular murder or any other actions taken by Mr. Burke, please come forward to the Los Angeles Police Department, come forward to the LA County DA's office, and report that information.
Mr. Hoffman, there are other people who are aware of this relationship. Is it possible that you will be arresting other people within his circle, and did he act alone in this death?
Again, with respect to whether or not there's any other individuals or we're going to take any other actions, you will know about them if we do, but at this point I'm not commenting.
Do you believe that you know how she was killed, beyond it being homicide?
The cause of death.
The actual cause of death?
Her parents aren't getting charged with anything.
The coroner's report will be released shortly. Because it is not currently released, I'm not going to be commenting.
But was it determined, not that, if you won't say what it was, but has it been determined how she was killed, beyond it being homicide?
The coroner has made a determination on how Celeste died, and at the point that the coroner's report becomes public, we'll be able to comment on it.
Was there a specific breakthrough last week? Is there physical evidence that ties David to this murder?
There is physical evidence and there is forensic and digital evidence that we intend to present in court.
Damn, so they got physical, forensic, and digital. I mean, he is screwed three ways to the sun, man. He is in big trouble. It's a beautiful thing.
Prove these charges beyond a reasonable doubt.
So was the arrest made with your knowledge?
Investigation, and just to his question, are you able to tell us exactly what the smoking gun is? And also,
You're lucky if you have one of those in a case. I mean, you're lucky if you have one. It sounds like they have all three.
if you can address the issue of his visit.
I think the digital evidence is going to be, and then possibly fingerprints on the bags. The fact that it's his Tesla, the fact that he was in a inappropriate relationship with her.
Santa Barbara, and that how does it?
I have no idea.
So with respect to the actual details of
I'm not doing a good enough job. I'm not explaining things well. Sorry. I do apologize.
evidence we're going to be presenting in court, I'm not going to do that today. As far as the concept of a smoking gun, the smoking gun is the totality of the evidence that we're going to bring to prove any case, whether it's this case or any case, beyond a reasonable doubt.
Is there any evidence that you've used other underage girls that you investigate?
An investigation is ongoing. If information comes forward on with respect to any additional crimes, we will certainly investigate it.
One more question. There's been so much discussion about the difficulties in this case. The chief talked about it as well. What makes you confident you can prove these allegations?
What makes us confident is the totality of the evidence that has been obtained by the LAPD robbery homicide, by the work that the district attorney's office has done, that has led us to the point where we believe we can prove each and every one of these three charges and the special circumstances and the special allegation beyond a reasonable doubt.
Why did you arrest him before you charged him?
Raise your hand if you have Spanish language and you need a Spanish language translation. Okay, keep your hands up. My team will come around to you and we will...
Okay, so it sounds like that's it. On that, let me... What is
Hey, everybody.
Which one is this? Okay, we already saw that.
CF02399.
What a loser. Look at him. Is his name pronounced D4VD? I don't know. Thank you, Southern. I appreciate that. What is he behind plastic? Yeah, probably. I'm sure it's a COVID thing, but also maybe a spit thing as well. I don't know.
Calling People versus David Anthony Burke. That's case number 26 CJCF02399.
Good morning or good afternoon, Your Honor. Blair Burke, Marilyn Bednarski, and Regina Peter on behalf of our client, David Burke, who's in custody.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Burke.
Deputy District Attorney Beth Silverman for the People, Your Honor.
Thank you. And counsel, on behalf of your client, do you waive formal reading of the complaint, advisement?
This dude, without a shred of, in my opinion, talent. That's what I mean. Look, talent is relative. This guy had the world, man. I mean, he had a huge following on Instagram and Twitter, and he had these big lucrative deals and world tours, and which just to me tells me more about the state of entertainment. Let's just say he's no Bieber, okay?
Rights, including armed forces and veterans' rights, enter a plea of not guilty, denying any and all special allegations, enhancements, and priors.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you're requesting a preliminary hearing within the period.
Yes, Your Honor. From the media reports, apparently there have been 4 months of secret grand jury proceedings. We believe that Mr. Burke is entitled at the earliest opportunity to an open preliminary hearing and the proceedings not be done in secret. So we are asking for a preliminary hearing to be set at the earliest possible date on the 10th day. Your Honor, we believe the actual evidence will show David Burke did not murder Celeste Rivas Hernandez, nor was he the cause of her death. And we would like to be able to have the evidence come into the light of day at the earliest opportunity in order to establish that. We're asking for April 20th.
For some reason, I like seeing him back there. I don't know. It's like I get a sense of like a euphoric feeling. I don't know what it is. It's just funny. It's funny that he's just sort of there.
Third,
like a little bitch.
As a 3 of 10.
Excuse my language.
Anything from the people?
We'll be very happy to put on the evidence that we've collected in this case over the last several months.
Thank you. So the matter.
Look at her! Look at her! Look at her, dude. Did you see that hair flip? Oh, that's a confident woman right there. That is a confident lady. Just a confident prosecutor right there. That should have sent shivers down all of their spines. Oh man, I love her. I really do. I think she's awesome. She's like, we would be happy.
We'll be very happy to put on the evidence that we've collected in this case over the last several months.
Thank you. So the matter will be set. Plea of not guilty has been entered on behalf of Mr. Burke. The matter will be set in Department 105.
He's like, oh shit. Look at his face. Oh God.
The matter is ordered assigned to Judge Charlene Almeida in Department 105 for all purposes.
He's like, I wish I could be playing Fortnite right now.
by the judge of the supervising judge of criminal.
Yes, Your Honor. If I may just put on the record, we have, as soon as the people arrive, delivered a informal discovery request consistent with Penal Code Section 1054. We have been given almost no discovery thus far. We've received a 3-page follow-up report, no autopsy report, and a copy of the complaint. And we would ask the people,
You don't really need an autopsy report. Just ask your client how she died.
Respectfully, to produce discovery at the earliest opportunity.
Your Honor, as I've indicated to counsel, there's approximately 40 terabytes of discovery in
40 terabytes. 40 terabytes. Oh, yeah, she is, dude.
this case. Moreover, in order to obtain the transcripts from a grand jury investigation, counsel has to file a motion. She knows the way the system works. I'm not able to gather those. They have to be provided after the court orders them released because it was an investigation. Second of all, if counsel plans on going to a preliminary hearing within the 10 days.
I have an external hard drive. I have a couple external hard drives that are 1 terabyte a piece. You can get them at Costco for like 50, 60 bucks. And they store an inordinate amount of files. They have 40 of those that are full of evidence.
It is unlikely that there will be very much discovery provided within that period, given the voluminous nature and how long it's going to take to copy onto drives. In addition to that, the coroner's report was sealed in this case in order to prevent it from hampering truthful testimony from witnesses that testified at the grand jury. So an order will also have to be obtained in order to get the coroner's department, which is now the medical examiner's department, to release those materials.
Your Honor, it's surprising news given the district attorney's office held a press conference this morning where they discussed the cause of death, apparently under seal and not released by the coroner's office, as did the robbery homicide unit to the press. So we would again reiterate, we believe that Mr. Burke is entitled to discovery. We have served the people with notice. They have 15 days to produce discovery in this case. We would ask that they do that in conscientious earnestness and as quickly as possible.
I'd ask the court to make an order today. We'll take a copy of the minute order ordering the Department of Medical Examiner to release their coroner's report in this case.
Thank you, Your Honor.
The court will order that the medical examiner release the report in this case forthwith.
Thank you.
The matter is set in Department 105, as the court indicated, April 23rd, 2026, as a 3 of 10 hearing. Anything further?
No, not at this time.
Bail to stand at no bail. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Hold on a second. The classic one. Who's charged with murdering Celeste? Is it the mom? Is she the one charged with having sex with an underage minor? Is the mom charged with lying in wait and murdering a witness? I don't think so. I think you're off on this. No, she's not. She's not guilty of anything. You're guilty of speculating.
A parent's nightmare.
What are you defend for parents? Are you one of them as well? One of what? You're an idiot. Go away. Nobody wants you here, especially me, and that's all that counts.
Is a situation where your daughter goes out
Go complain to somebody else. Go live a miserable life somewhere else.
one night and never comes back. Their grief is uncalculable.
The LA County District Attorney has just made a big decision regarding criminally charging singer David in connection with the murder of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. It was a shocking press conference where we learned never before heard details of this case and investigation, and where some of the questions we have had for the last 7 months have been answered. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Hey, real quick, before we go any further, I gotta tell you about this app that I think you're gonna love. It's our partner.
I bet you I won't love it.
Earned whether David will be the arrest of the 21-year-old romantic homicide singer on suspicion of the murder of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. 7 months ago, her reported decomposed and dismembered body was found in the trunk of a car reportedly registered to the singer. And it was confusing because he was arrested but not charged last week. And we thought that's strange because our reporting was, and we saw this from TMZ and other outlets, that a grand jury had reportedly been hearing evidence for quite some time in this case when the arrest came down. So why was he arrested and not charged?
Like I said, there's a lot of perfect parents out there.
And we speculated and wondered, did the grand jury not believe there was enough evidence to charge him with a crime? Maybe it wasn't a grand jury with the power to indict, maybe just to hear evidence and lock in testimony. Maybe they were still hearing evidence when the arrest came down. And that's why you saw, and we've heard this a little bit from TMZ too, whether or not the LAPD and the DA, maybe their offices were not on the same page. You go to this press conference, that was not the case. I'll get to it in a second. So remember what also happened last week. The LAPD, the PIO, released a statement. Detectives from Los Angeles Police Department Robbery Homicide Division have arrested David Burke, a 21-year-old resident of Los Angeles, for the murder of Celeste Rivas. Burke is being held without bail. The case will be presented to the district attorney's office on Monday for filing consideration. That's today. Now, this also came in from the LA County District Attorney's Office last week. Greg Reisling. Good evening. Our office is aware of the arrest of David Anthony Burke by the Los Angeles.
Dude, LA County Jail is the worst jail. I think maybe New York has one that's pretty bad, but LA County is the worst jail in the land. It's so bad. And he's going to be in there for so long. He's going to be in there for so long. It's worse than prison. It sucks so bad.
Angeles Police Department. The case is expected to be presented to the Major Crimes Division, at which point prosecutors will review the facts and evidence to determine whether there is sufficient evidence to file charges. At this time, additional information is not available. We will share an update on Monday once a filing decision has been made. So you hear that language and you wonder.
Rikers is right there.
Again, were they on the same page? Now, LAPD Captain Scott Williams told NBC last week regarding David's arrest at this home in the Hollywood Hills, "We did the best we can to keep tabs on him, but once we developed probable cause to arrest him for murder, then we were on him pretty diligently." And he told the California Post they had a probable cause warrant with them when they made the arrest. And there were photos of armed police outside the residence making the arrest. Per reporting from the California Post, David appeared to be in handcuffs.
He's going to be wishing to go to San Quentin for the first 6 months after he's convicted. He's going to be praying for those open showers. He's going to be begging, please, please let me go to San Quentin. I can't take it here anymore.
He was led away.
It's going to be hilarious, dude. The fact that knowing that he's in there right now is the best.
Neighbor told the outlet there were so many cops. There was apparently an officer on a loudspeaker shouting surrender. It was a big scene. We also heard from David's attorneys. So Blair Burke, Marilyn Benarski, and Regina Peter, they released a statement saying, "Let us be clear, the actual evidence in this case will show that David Burke did not murder Celeste Rivas Hernandez, and he was not the cause of her death. There has been no indictment returned by any grand jury in this case, and no criminal complaint filed," although you'll hear Nathan Hochman maybe suggest otherwise about a criminal complaint. "David has only been detained under suspicion. We will vigorously defend David's innocence." Now, again, this was from last week. We got to talk about what happened today. Okay. By the way, before I even get into today, TMZ reported that their source told them that the ME, the medical examiner's office, determined Celeste's manner of death to be homicide. Okay? Takes us now to today. Los Angeles District Attorney Nathan Hochman held a press conference alongside members of the LAPD, including Scott Williams, who I mentioned before, even indicated...
Yeah, let's not forget that pedos don't do so well in jail and prison, especially pedos who child killers, because that's what he is.
Beth Silverman will be the lead...
accused, excuse me.
...prosecutor on this case, which is interesting because we had previously reported she was the one who was apparently presenting...
He has good lawyers, but this case is going to be, it's effed. Like, he's screwed in a major way.
Presenting evidence to this grand jury. She's a career prosecutor, particularly in homicide cases. And this was the moment, after 7 months, when Nathan Hochman announced the charging decision for David Anthony Burke.
Thank you, Donna.
David.
Today, I am announcing the charges against David Anthony Burke, the musician known as David, spelled D4VD, in connection with the brutal and horrific murder of Celeste, a 14-year-old at that time. These charges include the most serious charges that a DA's...
Yes, well, hold on. Let me, I'll explain the celebrity protection as far as I know. So one of the things that you get can you, it wasn't muted. It just completely cut out, but it looks like it's working now. Okay. So sorry for that. So the way that the celebrity system works in jail is, I think you either get a wristband or a certain sort of jumpsuit, and you're either a celebrity, a pedo, or something else. I think there's like 3 of them. He might check all 3 of them, but I'm not really sure. So he'll get to be in a separate part of the prison or the jail, but it's just, I don't know how protected he will be. And frankly, I don't care.
Office can bring.
Although I would like to see him go to trial, to be honest with you. I would like them to protect him, you know. I want to get him to trial.
That is first-degree murder with special circumstances. The special circumstances being lying in wait. committing this crime for financial gain, or murdering a witness in an investigation. These special circumstances carry with it, along with the first-degree murder charge, a maximum sentence of life without the possibility of parole or the death penalty. The determination on whether or not the district attorney's office will seek the death penalty will be made at a later time. Before I get into the actual charges, and there are additional charges against Mr. Burke, including continuous sexual acts, lewd and lascivious sexual acts with an individual under 14 years old, and mutilating a human remains of a body.
He'll probably get protective custody until the trial, but I doubt that he's going to get bail. Nor should he get bail, nor does he deserve bail, nor is he a good candidate for bail.
Before I get into the description of these charges and their seriousness, I want to look at this as a parent. I am a parent of 3 children.
14 is not the cutoff. 8, there are certain laws, like there's like a Romeo and Juliet law, and yeah, I don't really feel like explaining it because I don't completely understand it all the way, all the time. But 14 is the threshold for even bigger charges. Like you get more charges. Now you can still be charged with the, lewd and lascivious acts with a minor, but if it's lewd and lascivious acts with a minor under 14, it carries an even higher penalty. That's the cutoff that they're talking about, not a cutoff of that's the when you can only be charged for that. So there's that.
And a parent's nightmare is a situation where your daughter goes out one night and never comes back. As we will show in a court of law, and what I also want to make sure about that the understanding of these charges is clear, is my description of these charges is not evidence that we are going to present in court. These charges, in fact, will not be evidence in the court. Evidence will be the witness testimony, the documents, and different types of admissible testimony that we will admit into court in the prosecution, and if it leads to the eventual trial of Mr. Burke, to convince a jury of 12 people beyond a reasonable doubt that each and every one of these charges is true, as well as the special allegations and circumstances that have been alleged.
Hey, no
Okay,
problem.
first of all, we suspected that David would be
Look at that face. He's like an idiot.
charged with murder after that was what he was arrested for, and in other court documents that came out a couple months ago, we know that he was being investigated for murder.
That's a good mugshot. I mean, nobody takes good mugshots, not even pretty people. I'm not saying he's a pretty person, because all I see in him is just like what he's been accused of. But nobody takes good mugshots. I mean, it's very, I don't know.
Murder. But first-degree murder with special circumstances? Lying?
Yeah, and the special circumstances are going to be that she was a witness to a crime being committed in an ongoing investigation, which is probably where the parents reported her missing, reported her as a runaway. Once again, it's very, very hard to control a child at that age when they realize that there's not a lot that they can do. Not a lot parents can do to stop their children from making these horrendous choices. And because there's sick people out there.
In wait to kill, murdering a witness as part of an investigation.
Trump's got an all-timer. And then who else has who else? Nick Nolte and Randy Travis. Nick Nolte's might be the worst. Thank you, Mary, for gifting 5 lab memberships. That's very, very kind of you. Let's see. Southern, Jen B. Joanne Marie, good pull. Jesse Vickery. You got good pulls on those, man. On those.
Murdering for financial gain, and now facing the possibility of the death penalty, even though it's my understanding there is a moratorium on executions in California. That is a huge deal.
Once again, the moratorium thing, look, they understand that there's a governor's race coming up, and that and Southern, yeah, good. That's awesome. They, because we've had a Democratic governor in California, a lot of times the pendulum swings, and a lot of people think that possibly there could be a Republican governor this time who doesn't oppose the death penalty. And so you never know.
And in a minute, we're going to get to the reasons the DA believes the evidence purportedly shows that. But what you're seeing are different alternative theories on how to prove the murder charge here. And clearly, they believe David is at the center, that David is the one responsible. Now, to be clear, he is innocent until proven guilty, and we don't know the exact evidence that the prosecution is going to produce.
What is he, 5'5"? What is that, 5'5"?
And one big doodle donated $4.99 through Super Chat.
125 pounds. Five 125 pounds. It's like Urkel.
But also, the sex charges? This is something we have talked about before. Steve Fisher, the private investigator who...
Oh, God. Please don't tell me he's on this.
Has been representing the owner of the property where David had reportedly been staying at in the Hollywood Hills, reportedly near where the Tesla was found. He has been saying for months that David could already be charged with sex crimes. That aside from the alleged murder, that there's evidence that David was allegedly having a relationship with a minor. And you heard Nathan Hochman say,
who gives a shit?
Continuous, meaning more than one time over a period of time. And you're going to hear later when Hochman talks about digital evidence. Are we suggesting here text messages showing this relationship? Photos? Videos? Witness statements of those around the two, maybe? And I'll tell you what, this is the part of the press conference where Hochman talks more about the alleged crimes, and he goes into the different theories. Again, lying in wait, murdering a witness. Take a look.
On April 23rd, 2025, as been alleged by the complaint, Celeste, a 14-year-old at that time, went to Mr. Burke's house in the Hollywood Hills. She was never heard from again. On September 8th, 2025, as alleged in the complaint, Miss Celeste remains, her dismembered and decomposed remains were found in 2 bags inside of a front trunk of a car registered to Mr. Burke. Thereafter began an investigation. The investigation was to determine who killed, who murdered Celeste months and months before. That investigation was carried out in unison and in partnership between the LAPD's Robbery Homicide Division and the District Attorney's Office. At every point in the investigation, through the arrest and the filing of charges, the LAPD and the District Attorney's Office have worked in lockstep. There's been no disagreements amongst these entities in deciding how to proceed with this case, ultimately leading to these charges today. So what you have as well with these charges is that, again, there are 3 sets of charges that have been brought. The first-degree murder with special circumstances, and again, those special circumstances are lying in wait. That Celeste went to Mr. Burke's home on the night of April 23rd, 2025, as alleged in the...
So here's and Misunderstood says, I bet they're going to blame it on an OD. They claim they panic. But the problem is the medical examiner has issued a cause of death. Now, going back to the Kaylee Anthony case, the biggest hurdle in that case was that they did not have a cause of death. And they charged her with first-degree murder and capital murder, put the death penalty on the table, but they could not prove that Kaylee was actually murdered to an unbiased jury. They couldn't do it. So that was the big hurdle in that case. It sounds as though they have a cause of death, which is a huge deal, because that I was a little concerned about that as well, but it sounds like they have one, and that's good.
Complaint at his invitation, and again, was not heard from again. The second is a special circumstance, being that this murder was committed for financial gain. As the evidence will show in court, the financial gain was for Mr. Burke to maintain his very lucrative musical career that Celeste was threatening on that particular night. The third charge, in addition to lying in wait and for financial gain, is murdering a witness to an investigation. In this particular case, as the evidence will come out in court, the witness to the investigation was Celeste. And the investigation was into the lewd and lascivious sexual acts committed by Mr. Burke that is the subject of count 2 of this complaint. The
only problem I had with Jose Baez was that it wasn't his fault, because this is what his job is, to push the limits. But I was shocked that the judge allowed them to go at the father, George, the way that they did. I've always been very surprised about that. I didn't think it was right. Now, if I was a defense attorney, I would have probably done the same thing. Jose Baez was a magician. He was also a magician in the Aaron Hernandez case, and got him off. I believe it was a double murder, I think. But yeah, he was. I remember, and I've told this story before, and Joey, I don't know if you've heard this before, but I had a conversation with Jose Baez. We were direct messaging for a little bit. Him and I were on Instagram. I remember telling him that I thought that he was a douchebag, and he called me an asshole. And then we sort of didn't hash it out, but we did have a slight conversation about him as a defense attorney. It was actually really funny.
Celeste, while she was under 14 years old.
Wow. So it seems a fair interpretation would be she allegedly goes to this house, this property, that David, they're going to be saying allegedly lured her there or got her there, invited her there. And either he allegedly wanted her there because he planned to kill her, again, if the allegations are true, these are the allegations put forward, but that she was what? Planning on going public or telling someone about their relationship, planning to go to authorities about this relationship? I don't know. But that this was essentially going to risk his career. So he allegedly kills her to keep her quiet, make sure his album, his endorsements, his tour wouldn't be affected. I'm wondering if that's going to be the argument. I wonder if that's going to be the theory of the case. And I assume that's going to be the argument. Now, how will they prove that? How will they prove that intent? Based on the circumstances and timing of this alleged killing, text messages, witness statements, we shall see. But again, different theories here. And remember, I just go back to this, and I don't know if this for sure, but during the grand jury, it was reported by certain outlets that this record executive had testified. I mean, again, allegedly, what do the people around David know? What were they told? What did they communicate?
Justin, I think it's 40 terabytes. Am I wrong there? It's not 4, it's 40, which is insane.
To him about his career, about his finances, just things I'm thinking about right now. And then we go into where Hochman talks about
4 would be an astronomical amount. 40 is what adjective? Astronomical, an astronomical plethora, a cornucopia of evidence. Joey H, shit ton, shitload. Let me check with the judges on that. A shitload, do we accept shitload? Okay, shitload is accepted by the judge. Web and Seat says shit ton. Shit ton, we'll accept both of those. Moving on.
Celeste family.
I had the chance to meet with...
one more, boatload of evidence. Boatload. All right.
Some of the family members of Celeste, and their grief is uncalculable.
Library?
As to what happened to their daughter. What they have demanded, what we have assured them. That
Mountain of evidence. Hold on, we'll check that one. Judge is going to get a ruling on mountain of evidence. Okay. Any more? I think we've exhausted all the big adjectives. Encyclopedia of guilt. Judges, they're not going to accept that one. Sorry. I accept it. They don't.
The district attorney's office, working with LAPD, would give them is the proof beyond a reasonable doubt on who killed their daughter, on how their daughter was killed, when their daughter was killed, and bring that killer to justice. That killer that we have now charged is David Anthony Burke.
Now, at one point, Nathan Hochman brings on LAPD Chief of Police Jim McDonald, who not only talks more about the investigation, but also addresses the frustration the public has had with law enforcement regarding this case and a lack of public comments or transparency.
Throughout the 7-month investigation, this department has faced criticism for how we handled the case and for our decision not to provide details. I want to be clear about something. My duty is not to fuel speculation, it's to deliver justice, and that requires patience and discipline on everybody's part. This investigation was driven by a single purpose: to secure justice for Celeste Rivas and for those who loved her. We had to be certain that nothing we did or said would ever jeopardize this case.
It hasn't been said that she was pregnant. I'm surprised nobody said voluminous. Voluminous would have been accepted. Copious would have been accepted.
Ms. Rivas was a reported runaway from Riverside County. During the course of our investigation, detectives learned that she had been involved in a sexual relationship with Mr. Burke when she was a minor and he was an adult. On April 23rd, 2025, Ms. Rivas...
Also, mega, heaps, and loads would have all been accepted as well.
Rivas arrived at Mr. Burke's home in the Hollywood Hills. That's the last time she was known to be alive. On September 8th, 2025, Ms. Rivas's dismembered and badly decomposed body was discovered in the front trunk of Mr. Burke's impounded Tesla.
Ginormous.
From that moment forward, our investigators faced an extraordinary, difficult, and complex case. The condition of her remains delayed the medical examiner's ability to be able to determine cause of death. The substantial amount of time that passed between her death and the discovery meant that crucial evidence had degraded or disappeared. And as detectives worked to uncover the truth, they also had to sift through and debunk a great deal of false information circulating publicly. These challenges were real, and they required patience, precision, and an unwavering commitment to the facts. Despite these obstacles and despite intense...
Basically, what he's telling you and I is he doesn't give one damn what you have to say about his police work because he works for the victim, not for us.
Public pressure, our robbery homicide division detectives remained steadfast in their duties. They recovered and analyzed a substantial amount of digital and forensic evidence. They stayed focused.
Kung Fu Panda redeeming themselves, a pile of evidence taller than the suspect.
Disciplined and committed to uncovering the truth. Their work in close collaboration with the district...
He also doesn't care what SF has to say either.
District Attorney's Office has brought us to this moment today. I want to thank the District Attorney and his team, as always, for their partnership. This case demanded coordination, persistence, and a shared commitment to justice.
And that makes sense. He's not wrong. You don't want to say too much that could jeopardize a case, give a criminal defendant ammunition to say the investigation was tainted or the prosecution is tainted, or that you had blinders on and we're only looking at one person without looking at exculpatory evidence. But you also have more about cause of death, right? Which hasn't been publicly released because of a court order. The medical examiner's records have been sealed. In fact, Hochman took questions about a lot of things, and he took questions about this. And he talked about how details of the allegations regarding the special circumstances, they're going to be produced in court. He didn't talk so much about it, but he did talk a little bit more about the coroner's report.
So with respect to the coroner's report, we will be seeking quite quickly to provide an order to the court that now allows the coroner to release that report to the public.
So once that report is released, and we will see what the coroner's finding or conclusion is, that's going to be a piece of the puzzle. I mean, I hate to say this, but again, it's tough to think about cause of death and how you analyze that when you're dealing with...
I didn't see the fireworks. They didn't show up for me. What is that? Hold on. Sent headliner, the unknown 88.
Reportedly dismembered and decomposed remains. So could they be able to determine, let's say, asphyxiation or poisoning or blunt force trauma or gunshot wound? And I don't even want to think about this, but was the cause of death the alleged dismemberment? And by the way, you heard the defense attorney say he's not the cause of death. Is that because they have their own interpretation of what the cause of death could be? Is this going to be a battle of medical experts? Or are they going to point the finger at somebody else and say that person is the cause of Celeste's death? And Hochman was asked, why did it take so long to make an arrest?
Yeah, I absolutely did see that. And who else is going to report her as a runaway? Who would report? I mean, of course, it would have to be her parents. Who else could report her as a runaway? Maybe her teacher, I guess, maybe. Other than that, I don't know.
Arrest here, given, again, the body was allegedly found in David's car, and you look at the state of Celeste.
I think the police chief...
Nah, I haven't seen him once.
You've got it right. That in a situation where you don't have an eyewitness account, or we can't point to a video that shows the killer killing someone, you have to go through the very rigorous and thorough investigation to look at all the digital and forensic evidence.
Does that cost you money, the unknown 88? I honestly have no idea. I know that... Hold on. It says 15... How many joules?
You have to speak with witnesses, often who are
sent stars.
September 8th, roughly, and today when we bring these charges on April 20th. So again, it's a type of case.
What's everybody knowing about? It doesn't say that I'm buffering, so I don't know. It doesn't tell me I'm buffering. Oh, God. Don't scare me.
That you want to make sure you get maximum information. And by the way, if there's anyone out there that has material information about this particular murder or any other actions taken by Mr. Burke, please come forward to the Los Angeles Police Department, come forward to the LA County DA's office, and report that information.
So it gives us an idea of the evidence, maybe lack of evidence. You talk about a smoking gun, that one thing. No, totality of the evidence, all of the evidence, not one thing. Some cooperative and non-cooperative witnesses. Is anyone working under an immunity agreement to provide testimony? We talked so much before about Neil Langston, David's purported friend, how he was arrested in Montana for allegedly failing to appear as a witness, seemingly in this case. What was it, in front of the grand jury?
I don't know what these things are. I gotta look.
TMZ had reported that he had only testified for 30 to 40 minutes. If that's the case, was he uncooperative? Is he a witness? I can't say for sure. Neil Langston did not come up today. Now, according to Hochman, the investigation is ongoing. They believe they have a strong case because of the totality of the evidence that was obtained by the LAPD robbery homicide unit. They talk about the work that the DA's office has done. They believe they can prove these charges, the special allegations, the special circumstances. And this is where Nathan Hochman discusses whether anyone else will be charged.
Is it possible that you will be arresting other people within his circle, and did he act alone in this death?
Again, with respect to whether or not there's any other individuals or we're going to take any other actions, you will know about them if we do, but at this point I'm not commenting.
Do you believe that you know how she was killed beyond it being homicide? The actual cause of death?
The coroner's report will be released shortly. Because it is not currently released, I'm not going to be commenting.
But was it determined, not that, if you won't say what it was, but has it been determined how she was killed beyond it being homicide?
The coroner has made a determination on how Celeste died, and at the point that the coroner's report becomes public, we'll be able to comment on it.
Was there a specific breakthrough last week? Is there physical evidence that ties David to this murder?
There is physical evidence and there is forensic and digital evidence that we intend to present in court to prove these charges beyond a reasonable doubt.
Only a couple more questions.
Yes.
Your investigation, and just to his question, are you able to tell us exactly what the smoking gun is, and also if you can address the?
Do you have to pay for those jewels? I'm sorry, I don't, and it doesn't let me highlight them, so I don't understand, and it doesn't count towards the goal, which is stupid if that's the case. I have to look into it. This is all new to me. I'm an old guy.
Issue of his visit to Santa Barbara, and that, how does it connect with the murder?
So with respect to the actual details of the evidence we're going to be presenting in court, I'm not going to do that today. As far as the concept of a smoking gun, the smoking gun is the totality of the evidence that we're going to bring to prove any case, whether it's this case or any case, beyond a reasonable doubt.
Is there any evidence that you've used other underage girls that's
An investigation is ongoing. If information comes forward on with respect to any additional crimes, we will certainly investigate it.
One more
Yes.
question. One more. There's been so much discussion about the difficulties in this case. The chief talked about it as well. What makes you confident you can prove these allegations?
What makes us confident is the totality of the evidence that has been obtained by the LAPD robbery homicide, by the work that the district attorney's office has done, that has led us to the point where we believe we can prove each and every one of these three charges and the special circumstances and the special allegation beyond a reasonable doubt.
So I guess it's possible someone else could be arrested or charged. I don't know, maybe if someone refuses to cooperate, refuses to provide testimony.
I think they have something. I think they have people that did testify against him. It was a little dumb buddy that they just showed with the weird hair. What? No sound?
We will continue to stay on top of this case wherever it will go. Thank you so much for joining us here on Sidebar. As always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you should get your podcasts. You can also check us out on NBC's Peacock as well. If you want to follow me, X, Instagram, my News Nation show, Jesse Weber Live, 11 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. I'll see you next time, everybody.
Yeah, it's been a glitch with the... What's it? Let's watch. Is Enton talking about Nancy Guthrie? Let's see what Enton's got to say. Hold on. I don't want to watch anything about Britney Spears.
Testimony that Don.
And 10.
Hey guys.
How's the FBI? All right, I'll listen to this for a second.
Thanks.
Yeah, we'll look at a little Nancy here.
So much for checking out my show. I really appreciate it. Please click to subscribe. I really appreciate all the support.
Please no Nancy. Well, we just talked about our main story.
You guys have shown me in the channel. Today is day 79 since Nancy Guthrie vanished. So
Gray Hughes has a map pulled up. He is begging for donations again.
It has now been almost 80 days since this 84-year-old woman literally just disappeared from her home in Tucson, Arizona. Some new information in this episode I'm getting into. First of all, remember the 2 ransom notes that came early on that went to the TV stations in Arizona? Those are the notes that we believe Savannah Guthrie was referencing when she said that she thought 2 of the notes were real and legitimate. Well, there was a Bitcoin account, and we've got some new information about a transaction in that Bitcoin account early on.
Look at that peanut butter inside car that he's got. What is that? What kind of car is that?
And a note in the Bitcoin account, specifically, that seems like it's either from the FBI or from the Guthrie family. So I'm going to tell you exactly what we know, the new information about that coming up. Also, I'm talking to retired FBI agent Steve Moore, good friend of the show. You guys have seen him many times. But specifically, I'm asking him about what some of these profilers have told me recently. You know, I've spoken to several retired FBI profilers who have come up with a profile of who they believe is responsible for the Nancy Guthrie abduction based on the information that they have. And Steve is going to explain how the agents on the ground actually investigating the case use the information from the profilers, and they use the information to help them investigate. How exactly does that work, though? And Steve is the perfect person because he has had investigations where he's used profilers before. I also wanted to see what he thought about some of what they're telling me, like the fact that they believe the person responsible is someone who knew Nancy Guthrie. What does he think about that? Plus some of these other details that they had, that it may have been retribution. I'm curious what Steve thinks because, again, he was one of the agents who was actually working the cases like this on the ground. So I'm going to talk to Steve and get into all of it coming up in this episode of Brian Enton Investigates.
Steve, it's nice to see you. Thank you for joining me. I wanted to ask you some questions about some of this new information that's come out in the Nancy Guthrie investigation and some of the information that I've learned from some of the profilers that I talked to. And I wanted to see, like, as an agent, how you would put that into action actually with the investigation. But the first thing I wanted to ask you about is this new information coming from Brianna Whitney, who's a reporter with the CBS station in Phoenix. And that's one of the stations that received the first 2 ransom letters, the ones that we believe Savannah was referencing when she said that she thought 2 were real. And they're now divulging, the station, that when they looked back into the Bitcoin wallet, there was activity on February 10th, and there's been no activity since. So this would have been a couple of months ago, right when the letters first came out. And a small amount of money was put into the account along with a note that said, "We are ready to talk contact us, and then there was a link for how to reach out to them. And there's no way to know for sure that that was the FBI or Savannah Guthrie, but it seems like it would kind of make sense. What do you think it means that they put that note in there, but it seems there was no response?
Well, I don't think we know that there was no response. There was no response that was visible to us. But I think that what that is the FBI saying, if it was the FBI, which makes sense, it's them saying, hey, we're in a negotiation here. This is not something where we're going to play the game where you just dictate terms to us, because it's that
buttons. Bishon. Is that how you pronounce it? Bishon 9780. Great commentary, great chat. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Whole thing. Well, this is your only mother. You want her back, so you better meet our terms. And they would say, we're your only victims. So if you don't get money from us, you don't get a dime. So we're both in
he's
this.
He's not even live anymore.
A zero.
I usually only troll him on the After Dark, although I'm not adverse to it. I just don't think he's live anymore.
Some end game. I mean, this is big. And so there is wiggle room in negotiations. I can guarantee you, not every negotiation, but it really depends on how you do the negotiation. If you start, I know this sounds horrible, but it's like negotiate.
I can't. I'd rather watch this. God, it's an hour.
Everybody, I'm Ashley.
The boatyard to his boat anchored off of Elbow.
Hooker has told. I want you to see now my conversation with Jim Todd. He's, again, with the Hopetown Volunteer Fire and Rescue Service. Take me from that first call you got Easter morning, Sunday, April 5th.
So just after 5 o'clock, I got a call at home on our Hopetown Fire and Rescue network that there was an emergency, a missing woman. So I went down to our boat. I joined 3 other guys, and we in communication.
By the way, let me just tell you about this really quick. I'm starting to think that she never even went overboard at all. I'm starting to think that she's like on land somewhere or something. Something happened in those 4 hours, man. I'm telling you. Something happened in those 4 hours. They would have found something. Anything.
Through telephone, voice message, we had an idea of where to start searching. So we left Hopetown Harbor.
God, that is gorgeous.
And went down to the area between Elbow Key and Lubbers Quarters. We searched the northeastern shore of Lubbers Quarters, and then based on the direction of wind, we moved north just a little bit and followed the wind direction toward the island of Great Abaco in the area of Marsh Harbor. And we understood that the police were at the boatyard at Marsh Harbor in Calcutta, and we hit the mainland in our search boat and turned south, went past Calcutta and where the police were searching the shore.
Where that dinghy was.
We did not see the dinghy on that trip because it was too dark. No, excuse me, I'm sorry. We did see the dinghy on that trip. We saw Mr. Hooker and another person who turned out to be a police officer. And then we,
at the dinghy.
At the dinghy. And then we returned to Calcutta, and then were joined by more police and Brian Hooker.
So this is around 5:30 in the morning?
As I recall, we were out, and I can definitely say we were out and searching before 5:45, and so we were probably still prior to 6 o'clock when we were going into Calcutta for the first time.
And so once you've done this initial search, you end up with Brian Hooker on your vessel.
Yeah, we did that initial search. We pulled into the boatyard. The police and Brian Hooker and several police officers and Brian Hooker then went from the boatyard to his boat anchored off of Elbow Key.
So you're going across the Sea of Abaco with him on board. What was your first initial impression when he was boarding your fire and rescue boat?
I happened to be the person who assisted him getting from the dock onto the boat and had very brief interaction. And he struck me as, I would describe it as like he had been hit by a truck or was in shock. And I thought to myself, well, he's been up going on 24 hours plus. So that's made sense to me.
Did I miss
it's been
dinghy?
a terrible night.
Mm-hmm.
This is the facts that...
Did I miss dinghy? This guy looks like he shops at Whole Foods, for sure. I missed 5 of them? Shit, hold on.
You have it.
I'm sorry. I was
probably still
responding
before.
to an email. Damn it.
Prior to 6 o'clock when we were going into Calcutta for the first time.
And so once you've done this initial search, you end up with Brian Hooker on your vessel.
Yeah, we did that initial search. We pulled into the boatyard.
A hooker with a tiny dinghy.
Police and Brian Hooker and several police officers and Brian Hooker then went from the boatyard to his boat anchored off of Elbow Key.
So you're going across the Sea of Abaco with him on board. What was your first initial impression when he was boarding your fire and rescue boat?
I happened to be the person who assisted him getting from the dock onto the boat and had very brief interaction. And he struck me as, I would describe it as like he had been hit by a truck or was in shock. And I thought to myself, well, he's been up going on 24 hours plus. So that's made sense to me.
And it's been a terrible night.
Mm-hmm.
This is the facts that you have at this early point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hit by a truck is what came to mind.
Were you able to talk to him at all when you were crossing from Marsh Harbor back over to Elbow Key with him?
The police were with us, and so I wanted, well, all of us on fire and rescue wanted to keep our distance and let the police do what they were going to do.
So you now cross the Sea of Abaco, you're back over at Elbow Key, and do you go to the yacht that is moored there? I mean, or it's anchored, actually. They've thrown anchor. Soulmate is just off of Aunt Pat's. Is that where you end up with him?
Yep, it was in the approximate area of Aunt Pat's, and
Yeah,
we tied up the
gonna
fire and
play his
rescue boat
interview
next
from today.
to the vessel, and
But you're welcome to go listen to it.
the sailboat, and Brian, a police officer, went onto the boat for about an hour.
So you all stay, the fire and rescue and a couple of officers stay on the fire and rescue boat, which is now literally flush with Soulmate, tied up beside Soulmate, and one investigating officer and Brian get up on board Soulmate.
Yes,
Do they stay in the cockpit area outside, or do they go down below in the cabin?
they went below.
How long do they spend?
Okay. You can go to Surviving the Survivor and you can watch his show. He interviews the daughter.
It's hard for me to estimate, but I would say about an hour.
About an hour down below.
Mm-hmm.
And when they emerge, what's the next thing that happens?
There was some conversation that I couldn't hear. They both individuals came back on the fire and rescue boat, and then as we untie and separate from the boat, one of the police officers took pictures of the sailboat from 360 degrees.
That's at the...
Can you not encourage people to leave at this present moment?
Direction of the
we're almost done, but good Lord.
Investigating officer to do so?
Yeah, I don't recall what he said, but he had an interaction with them, take pictures all around the boat, what appeared to be the senior person or a senior person.
And so your search and rescue vessel now does a 360 trip around Soulmate, photographing every aspect of the of Brian Hooker's yacht.
Yes.
And Brian and Lynette's yacht. And then where do you go next?
I'm not sure why I was not privy to the conversation, but we went in the direction of where we understood that the woman fell off of the boat. And so we were in that area. Brian Hooker was on the front of the boat, and I took it upon myself to go out and talk with him about exactly where he understood that to have happened.
How long were you up on the front of the search and rescue?
Donated $5 through Super Chat. Josh is onto something. She was never on the boat.
I don't think so either. Thank you, Eric. I don't think so either.
Vessel with Brian as you all sort of tried to establish where it was that he says she went overboard.
I would say easily in the range of 10 minutes.
Talking to him?
Yeah, to say, okay, she fell off here. How close to land was that? Would she have swum in that direction, or would she have swum in this direction? It was that kind of conversation.
And effectively, you're trying to establish where did she go over, how close to land, and how close to the Soulmate yacht?
I was more focused on just the simple context of where to look. I can't say that I cared about where the sailboat was. I was just thinking about where should we look if she went off here and we were this close to land, what part of land might it be, and so where should we be looking?
Were you able to establish that?
No, I'll say as I tried to become more specific, pointing at a particular piece of land, could it be there, or could it be a little bit further? Could it conceivably be behind? Brian said something along the effects of, I'm not sure, it's just so confusing. May not have been precisely those words, but the demeanor and the effect of his comments were, I can't be sure, it's just very confusing.
The way Brian has told friends and accounts, it seems, to authorities, he and Lynette came out from the Abaco Inn through the channel, took a left and started going south towards where Soulmate was anchored. Did he say how close he was to the channel when this incident allegedly happened?
Yes, he told me that when they got to the end of the channel, they turned left at the last piling in the channel. They did not go further out to where there is a channel buoy.
For deeper seeking boats that have a more draft and need deeper water.
Right. So he said that he turned southward in the area of the last piling, and I assumed that it was west of that last piling.
How far out of the Abaco Channel did he say he was when he had turned left? How far out had he made it before he says she fell overboard?
He didn't say it in the context of feet or yards, but I was standing on the bow of the search boat, and I pointed to a piece of water and say, you think it was right there? And I would say it was in the range of 50 yards south of that last piling in the channel.
Very, very close to the channel.
Yeah, much closer. Yeah, much closer to the channel than to the boat, the sailboat.
At any point, did he think that she may have gone out in the channel?
Nothing was said explicitly about that. At one point, I asked, "Is it possible that it happened far enough east that she could have swum southward on the inside of this little peninsula. And again, he kind of shook his head more.
I wonder how an oar went missing.
Definitely no. But then, as was typical at that moment, he said,
Actually, so we were talking about mugshots earlier. Hold on. My favorite mugshot of all time is actually Scott Peterson's when he was headed to Mexico. Well, he says he was going to play golf, but hold on. It's like the greatest. It really is the funniest mugshot of all time.
it's just very confusing. I
Yeah,
can't be sure.
Did he the sort of bleached hair? But he messed it up. He was trying to dye it blonde. he tried to dye it blonde, but it didn't go blonde.
Ever tell you that the last time he saw Lynette, she was swimming for the yacht Soulmate?
That was not said to me. He did say the last time he saw her, she was swimming away from him, and frankly, in my memory, it was to the land, but I couldn't dispute it if he has said it was to the sailboat.
And at that point where you've established effectively, more or less, where Lynette allegedly went over, it's about 200 yards from shore?
No, I would say it would be less, maybe in the range of 150 yards, maybe 100 yards, not 200. That would be the long side.
Pretty close.
Reasonably close.
But Soulmate is how many yards away, the yacht?
Notably further, and visually notably further.
I've heard in the vicinity of 1,000 yards.
It could easily be that range. I would say that's right, is in that range.
If I'm overboard in choppy water, I am swimming 150 yards before I choose to swim 1,000 yards.
I would say if somebody had told me, well, someone was either swimming to the sailboat or to the land, I would say you're mistaken. They're not going to the sailboat. They're going to the land.
Sailboat's too far.
Sailboat's too far. And the land was right there.
So at this point, you've established where the alleged dinghy incident happened. He's unable to be very clear about where she was swimming. He definitely did not tell you, the last I saw her, she was swimming for the sailboat.
I have heard that statement made. I don't recall him saying that to me.
Is there anything else he said when you were up there for about 10 minutes on the bow of the fire and rescue boat?
He said, no. No, it was all related in the neighborhood of what we've just said, I think.
Just matter of fact, but unable to really pinpoint. Did he say he was drunk the night before and that's why he was having trouble remembering?
Made no reference to drinking. No reference to drinking at all.
Any reference to why he couldn't pinpoint the exact spot where it had happened? Because at 7:30, I've been out there. It's bright. It's daylight. The sun hasn't set yet. You still have about a half hour until it's dark, and it would be really hard to see someone.
Right. No explanation of why I couldn't see better. No explanation other than no explanation about how they got separated. It was, in my opinion, it was very windy, and the darkness, if their times were wrong, if it was more like 8 o'clock instead of 7:30, I could see that being very dark. But I wouldn't have expected that. I wasn't there, so I don't know, but I wouldn't have expected someone falling into the water versus the dinghy to become separated so quickly. But it's plausible.
There's a lot of incidents in the story that are plausible, but maybe not the number one possibility. And so,
okay, stupid question. Isn't the water very clear to where you can see someone more easily? Yeah, correct. I mean, they say that you can, where she went over, they say that you can see to the bottom. Yeah.
You got to give benefit of the doubt at all times. And in this particular instance, if Lynette were driving, and Brian says she was, what's your theory on what would happen if you were to fall out of the boat when you have your hand on the tiller, on the throttle?
Well, and I've actually seen this happen in a much different circumstance, but if somebody's sitting on the right side of the boat steering a tiller motor with their left hand, that's a big if, because I'm not sure of the circumstances here. But if they're in that situation, somebody lost their balance and got bumped off, the most likely thing would be to hold on to the motor for some period of time as they went over the starboard side of the boat. And the geometry of the wind and direction is such that the boat would have turned into the wind as the individual went over the side. And as I pondered that, I thought that dinghy with that very small electric motor, I'm not sure of the size, but that dinghy with the very small electric motor would probably come to a stop very quickly.
And it would be turned into the wind at that point, because if she dragged the tiller, towards her, then the boat would turn to the port side and go upwind.
And so,
yeah, he said that. he said that he was going to play golf in San Diego. He had 10 grand cash on him. 10 grand cash. He had, I think, his brother's driver's license on him. And I'm not sure what else. It was some other stuff.
in that case,
I don't think she was on the dinghy either. I mean, I just think that they would have found something.
If somebody is in the water, then the dinghy would be upwind from them toward the wind.
Don't worry, he's not staying there. We aren't making it permanent.
And it's impossible to say, but the wind would have, if what I describe is correct, then that would have blown the dinghy back
towards her.
But if she was sitting on the other side of the boat, then my explanation would work against her. So I don't know.
It's hard to tell. Of course, we weren't there. Her daughter says she never drove, that Brian would always drive. But I've seen a picture of her actually on the right side, on the right sort of pontoon, and she seems to be driving. She has her hand on the throttle and the tiller. One thing I did notice, though, is that the electric key does not have a wristlet. It's just a long string. And Brian says she took it out with her. So what kind of a possibility is it that you've got your hand on the tiller, because Brian says she's driving, you're getting bounced out, you let go of the tiller, and you grab the string that's hanging down from the electric key?
I would say that the probability of what you describe, of you're falling out and you grab the lanyard from the key, virtually it's approaching an impossibility.
I did a show with a lady named Roberta Glass. She's a true crime reporter, and I believe she was a court reporter for a very long time. She's been on court TV, and very smart lady. I don't know how many of you know who she is, but I did a whole show about Scott Peterson with her. I will put it in the Chiznat Nizow, so you can watch it later. And
another curious thing is that if someone has been on shore enjoying themselves at a bar and they're in a dinghy that maybe it doesn't have a radio or a portable radio like most would, it seems an odd thing that someone would have put the wristlet on, because it's.
But definitely check out Roberta Glass's channel. She's good people.
They really were so close to the boat. It was only a 10-minute drive in the boat at most.
I've seen the pictures. There isn't a wristlet on that key. It's just a straight string that hangs down.
Right.
You'd have to grab for it and pull it out with you as you're being bounced out unexpectedly.
Yeah, you would.
It'd be very difficult to do that.
Although normal safety procedures is that would be attached to your wrist.
If you're by yourself.
So exactly this would happen.
Love Roberta.
If you're by
so
yourself.
The boat stops.
If you're with someone in the boat, you don't want to take that key out with you and render them unable to come and get you.
Well, who knows?
Right. So the other question is, Brian says she went out with the lanyard and the key and went out with the dry bag. So what are if you're driving?
I think they said 4 to 7 feet.
That's not a dry bag necessarily that you may be wearing. Maybe it is. I'd have to look at it. But what are the chances that
it wasn't very
you're going to
deep.
grab a dry bag?
In sort of like the cove area. Yeah. They're not stupid questions.
Bag and grab the lanyard and let go of the throttle and be bounced out.
Stupid question was asking me if I was a parent like Celeste Rivas Hernandez's parents, incompetent. That was a stupid question.
Effectively.
If you were to fall out of a boat, it happens so fast you don't have time to think of anything. So virtually unheard of that someone would have the presence of mind or the thought that, oh, I need to grab that.
A couple of things on the way out. A couple of things. Yeah.
It happens so quickly that you don't even. When something like that happens, you don't perceive it happening. You go from the state of driving the boat to the state of
help me.
Bam, I'm in the water.
Yeah. It's hard to understand that dry bag. I've seen a dry bag of a similar color, and he has described a dry bag the same color as the seat cushion, green. Mm-hmm. And I've seen a picture of that dry bag in the boat. I'm not going to say.
I don't know why. I don't know why he threw her the dry bag, or excuse me, the cushion. Maybe it floats. I don't know.
It's the dry bag. I'm going to say a very similar looking dry bag in that dinghy. That's the kind of bag that's big enough to see. It's not a small purse that you would take to a water slide, say. It's not that kind of a dry bag. It's a dry bag that would probably float.
I happen to not have experience with using a dry bag, but I know that it's sealed for water.
Did he say I happen to not have?
And if they're with using...
Probably float.
I happen to not have experience with using a dry bag.
That's a weird way to say that you don't use a dry bag. I happen to not have experience.
But I know that it's sealed for water, and if there was a big puff of air inside, I can see that it would float. And
I also happen to have no experience with a dry bag, but I can tell you that if a dry bag sinks, it's no longer dry. I don't see how a dry bag could sink and the contents inside would stay dry.
At some point in the searching operations, when we found the green cushion, Brian said, oh, look for the green dry bag as well, which, of course, we did look in that area of the cushion and did not find the dry bag.
Would you expect to have found the dry bag if it went overboard? Again, it's got passports in it. It's got critical things in it. I'm not sure why they would have taken the passports to shore, but okay. It's going to be sealed if your passports are in it. if you're in a dinghy.
Sealed from the water, absolutely.
Why would you have those passports in a bag? Why wouldn't they just stay on your main boat where you sleep? That makes no sense at all.
Do you not expect that you would?
It's like having your birth certificate in there.
Either find the dry bag, wash up on shore, or be able to.
They were at a bar. So you have to have your passport to drink at a bar? Wouldn't you just need your ID?
To see a dry bag that's this big.
Rusty McShackleford. I'm going to give you the Nancy Guthrie treatment, or excuse me, the Nancy Grace treatment here. Rusty McShackleford, you don't need a passport to drink in the Bahamas. All you would need is an identification to drink in the Bahamas.
Big, you know, it's about a foot long by about a foot and a half long by about a foot wide. Would you not see it in that very shallow water?
Well, if it floated, I would certainly expect it to be in the range, in the area of that green cushion. If it sank, the water geography gets really large very quickly, and it's very hard to find things underwater.
Something that bright, though? Something that's that bright green?
Yeah, I guess if it had sunk, I would put the probability of finding a sunken dry bag, even bright, at fairly low.
So the next thing you do is you leave that location that you have tried to determine where this incident.
I know for a fact you don't need your passport to drink in the Bahamas. I know for a fact.
Didn't happen, where Lynette fell over.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me where you go from there. You've got police officers on board, you've got fire and rescue on board, and you've got Brian on board. Where do you go from there?
So we go westward toward...
Anything else, Rusty McShackleford? Do you want to tell me that what else do you need? You need a birth certificate to go take a pee-pee?
The island of Great Abaco Island, the area of Calcutta.
Where he says he drifted the whole way, 9 hours of drifting.
Right.
Okay.
And we are, well, me personally, I'm aware of the wind and testing.
Well, look, yeah, you can use it for that. Okay, well, maybe, I guess.
The reasonableness of that, simply in the context of where we should be looking. Should we be looking on Lover's Quarters, which is nearer, or could
he have cleared it?
Could he have cleared Lover's Quarters and then gone to Great Abaco Island? And either one is very reasonable to me.
And to be clear, Great Abaco Island is where Marsh Harbor is.
Yeah, we typically call it the area around here as Marsh Harbor, but it's a larger island.
Right.
And in fact, we frequently refer to that island as the mainland. So we go back with Mr. Hooker, with police officers. We get in the same range of where where his dinghy was. We turn south and re-inspect that shoreline. And at some point, one of my colleagues on search and rescue hands me binoculars up to the top of the boat.
In tourist areas, they accept government identifications, but okay, maybe that's what they used as their government ID. Okay, I'll concede. I'll concede. Why would somebody steal your passport on an empty boat?
And says, Jim, check out that, but we see that green thing.
Yeah, I know.
Over there, could it be afloat? Using the binoculars, it looked like yes, could easily be afloat. It was a little bit hard to identify it for shape because of the reasonably great distance of, probably easy 100 yards, because it was shallow and extremely rough on that shore. So So it was a reasonable possibility that, yeah, that was it. And though I was not, I don't believe I was present.
I missed a ding.
I think there was conversation among Brian Hooker and the search and rescue people to say, okay, that's a possibility that that could be the float.
Did Brian take the binoculars and look and see if that was his float?
I did not see that take place.
And to be clear, the float that we're talking about is the float that Brian says in many different formats, whether it's to friends or to the police, he threw the green float to her and did not know whether she ever got it, because he said she was bobbing up between 2 to 3 foot seas. Did it seem like there were 2 to 3 foot seas possible at 7:30, 7:45 at night, just 150 yards offshore from Elbow Key?
To me, that's reasonable. I happened to be in that area at a restaurant with my wife and daughter and granddaughter, and at about that time frame between 7:30 and 8, I happen to have a clear memory of the time because I arrived late, just before 7:30, and it was getting dark, and very quickly as I sat at the...
Did they say how big the dry bag was?
The dinner table, the wind kicked up to the point that it was a touch unpleasant, and so I knew it would be rough out there, and it would be an evening where no one would be out on the Sea of Abaco in their boat.
This is it at 7:30 or 8 when you notice that this is getting bad out there?
Well, I'll say that I arrived at the dinner table, which was outside, very shortly before 7:30, and it was a short time later that I noticed how windy it was. Could it have been 7:45? Yes, but it could have been 8 o'clock also.
Okay, at some point, but it was getting dark.
Yes.
I've noticed it's 7:45, not so bad. It's dusk, but at 8 o'clock, dark. So
Yeah.
somewhere in between there.
Yeah, yeah. It's
And
dark.
you would say that's bad out there. You didn't see a lot of boaters either at that time, right?
I would expect to see 0 boaters out there on that night. To me, it was rough enough that no boaters should be out.
But yet there would still be people on anchor.
Oh yeah, when I say no one should be out there on a boat, I mean a boat underway.
Yeah.
But a sailboat or a powerboat on anchor, it was not bad weather. It was not dangerous weather for boats that were anchored. You would want to stay on your boat to be safe.
You wouldn't have wanted to be in the 8-foot dinghy that Brian and Lynette Hooker had that night at 7:30 to 8 o'clock at night, 150 yards offshore from Elbow Key.
For me, it would be a definite no.
Yeah, well, that's saying a lot. You're fire and rescue.
Think all those natural products you're buying are from wholesome mom and pop companies?
Yeah, we do.
Not quite. Risers, and they've been crushing it ever since with their nearly 50
community long enough.
No exceptions.
You know a thing or two about
Yeah.
boating. You've lived in this community long enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back to the shore. Did Brian ever identify that green cushion? Was he able to ever look up on shore and say that's it?
On that Sunday, on that
point.
first Sunday, he saw it at a distance and expressed something of that could be it. On Monday, I was not able to search. On Tuesday, my wife and I were able to search. We went over in our boat, got in our car, and drove to the area of where we saw the cushion. And in fact, we found it.
And he confirmed, Brian confirmed that's it.
Yeah, he confirmed that is definitely it. And there was a kind of an odd break where one might grab it, almost like a handle, where it was broken. In other pictures I've seen of their dinghy, I can see that float with that broken handle. And because I saw that handle broken, when we found it, I asked Mr. Hooker if he saw his wife grab it, and he said no, he did not see his wife grab it when he threw it.
Did he mention 2 to 3 foot seas?
I don't recall him mentioning 2 to 3 foot seas to me.
1 to 2 foot seas, or anything about the seas? Yeah.
I can't say, nothing about the height of the seas, but it would have been common conversation talking about how rough it was.
Did he ever say, I saw her and then she'd disappear and I lost track of seeing her in between the waves?
The only thing he said in the context of what he saw, he said, I saw her swimming away.
I mean, probably.
But he
seems like a
couldn't
sick bastard.
say
I'm telling you,
away.
that smirk on his face when he was leaving the Bohemian prison, the Bohemian prison, Bahamian.
To land or away to the yacht?
Well, when I talked to him on the front of the boat early on Sunday morning, and it was daylight, I was very explicit to point at a body of water, this is where you think it happened. And he said, yeah, it's confusing, that's the area, and described the last piling in the channel. And I pointed at the shore in 3 different places because the shore was so close. It was obvious, it seemed obvious to me that if she didn't come right for the dinghy, then you would go for the shore. I pointed to 3 areas of the.
Yeah, I don't understand why she didn't just swim or try to swim to the shore. I don't know. I don't understand what the hell they were doing out there at all.
Shore, and his response was more along the lines of,
this guy's a dick.
I just can't say.
Not this guy, but the hooker. The hooker with the small dinghy.
For sure, it's confusing.
But never said, no, not shore. She was going the other way to the yacht.
I do not recall that at all. That's correct. I do not recall that.
Because one direction is she's swimming west to shore, or she's swimming south to the boat. And he can't articulate either one.
Well, I would say if she was swimming to the shore, she was swimming southwest.
Okay.
And if she was swimming to the boat, then that would have been, let's call it, perfect.
Then they should charge him with boating while intoxicated. And then they should charge him, if he's the one driving the boat, then they should charge him with manslaughter.
Perfectly perpendicular to the shore rather than an angle directly to the
and
shore.
And he could not articulate that.
That regarding the land, the comment was, this is confusing. I just can't say. I just don't know.
So you had another opportunity to be with Brian after this entire day that you'd spent with him. Talk to me about the next time you spent time with Brian.
So later in the day,
and I'm sure that they could probably drum up a few extra charges of lying to investigators. I'm sure they could find something out. Charge him with something. Don't let this bitch get away with it.
It may have been noon. It may have been 1 o'clock. I got a message that Brian would need a ride back from the Marsh Harbor area to his boat, and the request went out, who's available? Well, I was available, so I went to Calcutta, where we had originally met the police. So being on a Sunday, it was quiet, particularly such a windy weather day. There was not a lot going on. So I went in, tied up, waited just a very few minutes, and the police came and dropped him off. I walked with him on opposite side of the fence to the entryway on a Sunday. And then we walked a pretty good distance back to the car. First thing he said to me was, in your experience, how often do you find the person alive? And I told him that every case is different. I'll be honest that I haven't been on a lot of these cases.
Looking for a body.
Looking for a body.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But you didn't want to say that. You didn't want to upset him.
That's right. And, obviously every case is different.
How often do you find...
So we get on the boat. We discover in the course of the 15-minute ride back to his boat that we're both from the West Michigan area, and I felt awkward having casual conversation with someone who very likely lost his wife in 12 hours earlier. his demeanor struck me as someone, I think I may have said it earlier, as someone was in shock and had been hit by a car, hit by a truck, and was despondent. His demeanor was subdued and despondent.
Devastated?
Well, I would extrapolate from that, and I did think to myself that if I was in a similar situation with my wife, I would be inconsolable and unable to function. People would have to be with me to
hold you up,
hold me together, and that's not what his demeanor was. And you know, everybody is different, but that I did notice that.
So did you have much conversation as you did that crossing to get him over to the Soulmate yacht? That's his home. The Soulmate yacht is where he lives. So
no, we had I tried to, I guess you might say, I threaded the needle of pleasant conversation to minimal conversation, because I certainly don't want to be chatty when he's dealing with whatever he's dealing with. So it was mostly quiet, but I asked where he was from and where he kept his boat in Michigan, how long he had been sailing. He said at one point, I don't even want to sail anymore. And what was unsaid, without his wife. He said, I don't even want to sail anymore. And that's certainly understandable and reasonable to feel that way.
When you reached Soulmate to drop him off, what happened next?
I tied up on the boat for just a minute as he scrambled onto his boat. I don't remember how the conversation initially started, but he was concerned about retrieving his dinghy that was still on the beach, and the weather was too rough to get access to the dinghy. It was too dangerous, and so
dinghy back over on Marsh Harbor, 4 miles away.
Right.
Yeah, across Abaco Sea.
Yeah, it's way too dangerous to retrieve it by water, and so we traded telephone numbers, and I told him that I would reach out to people who may have the ability and the time to assist him on the following day.
You gave him contacts to help get the dinghy back.
Yeah, I think what I actually did is I took his contact information and sent it to someone.
Yeah. Did he ask, though, about what's happening now and how can I get connected to the search efforts and be a part of it, and who's in command? Did he ask those questions?
On that day, on Sunday, I don't recall him asking those kind of questions. We may have talked about people searching in different areas, but we didn't have any significant conversation about it. I may have commented on people searching different areas, but there was no in-depth comment. Did
he ask for contact information to get to Coast Guard, search and rescue, anybody who'd be trying to find his wife?
Not on Sunday. On that first day.
Listen, Sunday is like you said, within 12 hours of this all happening.
That's right.
But he didn't ask what's happening. What's happening in the search? Where do I contact someone about this?
I do not recall him asking me that. That's correct.
Is that odd?
Yes.
Well, again, I could only put myself in that position, and
it's odd.
I think I would have been desperate to know how many boats are out there, where are they? I'm now back on my big boat. Who's going to come pick me up to take me out? And maybe it's unfair for me to take my feelings and to project them onto him, but that's certainly how I would have felt.
Yeah, that's because you're a normal, non-murdering, allegedly, not even alleged, a possibly murdering bastard.
You want to know what's happening with the mission,
and be very actively a part of it.
Makes sense. Was there any point in all of your time that you spent with Brian Hooker in those days after Lynette allegedly went overboard, where you saw a moment of emotion, even understanding some people are stoic, he's a U.S. Marine. Was there any point where you saw just something that showed a man in emotional distress?
Yeah, and particularly kind of an extreme expression. When we had left his boat with the police officers, we had come back to the Marsh Harbor area. We had done the search to find and saw what we would then learn was the green float. We dropped the police and him off in the boat harbor for him then to go with the police for a 4 or 5 hour interview session, I presume. When they got back up off of the fire and rescue boat onto the dock, I saw him double over, put his hands on his knees with a face, with an expression of agony on his face, hanging his head, and just a silent cry of agony on his face. And then approximately that time, not immediately, but that same time frame, he was then standing up straight and looked up at the sky. And I don't mean to say he was looking up at the sky in any meaningful metaphysical way, but was looking skyward, and I saw what was clearly a silent sob of agony.
There were about a half dozen police officers and fire and rescue personnel who were in the vicinity.
Yes.
Was this in direct view? I mean, I always ask, was this performative? Did he want people to see him doing this? Did he have his back to them? If you had to gauge, did he want people to see this, or was he trying to hide himself from people seeing this? What would you say?
I don't want to gauge that, but I'll say kind of the geography was that he had gotten up on the dock. The police officers were primarily over his left shoulder.
It's true.
And I was primarily over his right shoulder. And I happened to be watching.
Not a Blonde wants to know, did anyone ever see Hooker Boy actually weep tears versus these ridiculous silent sobs? I don't think so.
So I saw those things. I can't say for sure, but I felt like the police officers happened to have not been watching him, and I would say they happened to have not observed that. But that's just my snapshot of my memory.
Would they have been able to see this? Like, was Brian positioned in a way that the police officers could see his agonized look, or did he try to hide that agony from were the officers behind him and unable to see his face?
They were behind him, and if it was not genuine,
Hooker Boy.
Well, they were behind him, and it would not be likely that they would be able to see the front of his face. They would have seen his silhouette from the back.
But you happened to be kind of in front of him.
It
so
happened to
see.
be my angle was that I could see.
Eric says, call me crazy, mystic. I still believe in true love. Lifetime partners. He follows that up with, having said that, I'm single. Me too, brother.
And it struck me as a terrible moment and sincere.
It struck you as sincere in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Was there any other observation that you made in all of this time that stood out to you or that you thought was noteworthy?
Nothing comes to mind. On Monday afternoon, Brian reached out and texted me with a question about searching, and I felt like it was a request for me to take him out searching, and I wasn't in a position to do that. And I suggested that he contact the Conkin, which was where his boat near where he had relocated his boat.
He had a mooring ball there. He was actually, he and Lynette spent a lot of time. They paid for a mooring ball at the Konkan.
Right, and those people have deep connections. They're local Bahamians. They have deep connections, and I felt like that would be a great place for him to start if he wanted to charter a 30-foot boat with a captain to then take him wherever he wanted to go.
Any idea if he did?
I never heard about anything like that.
Did Brian at any point say what Lynette was wearing when she went overboard?
Yes, on Sunday morning there was a lot of discussion about the description of the individual we were looking for, and it was a black bikini or a black two-piece bathing suit is what she was wearing. That's what we were searching for.
Bathing suit cover-up?
No conversation about a cover-up at all, but repeatedly a black two-piece bathing suit.
One question a lot of people have, especially people who aren't from here and think, well, it's the Bahamas, there must be sharks. Is there robust shark activity in the area where
Thank you,
Brian
Kelly
alleges
13-month
Lynette
member,
went off the
best
boat?
channel ever.
In the precise area where she went off, I have never seen any sharks. And I think, in fact, sharks are not, I don't know why, sharks are not attracted to people swimming in the water because they don't look like food to them. But if it was a body rather than a swimmer, I think that might look different to a shark. And as you approach the mainland on what that journey of the dinghy would have been, some of the locals say, oh yeah, that's kind of sharks do go through there. And the speculation was it's possible she was eaten by a shark. That's in the sea, in the middle of the Sea of Abaco, say past Lubber's Quarters? Is that what you mean? West of Lubber's Quarters. West of Lubber's Quarters, meaning if she followed the same track that Brian went, she would have drifted past Lubber's Quarters into the area where they say there's a Right,
lot
where
of
there's
shark
sharks.
activity.
Well, there's sharks in transit, one place or another, wherever sharks go. But again,
Eric, I gotta
we have
disagree.
a shark bite.
Walking on the beach sucks. It's really not that romantic, to be honest with you. And sand kind of gets everywhere. And that's a pain in the ass in and of itself. But, you know, like walking on the beach, it's so overrated. It's like, I don't know.
Incident multiple years apart, so they're not commonly around.
It's, again, possible, not totally plausible.
Right.
Yeah. Jim, things have changed since our last conversation at the Hopetown Inn.
Uh-oh. Dude, he looks like a totally different person. What the He looks totally different.
A shark bite.
He got a blowout. Look at his hair.
Incident multiple.
This is pre-light socket incident.
Years apart, so they're not commonly around.
And then here
It's,
comes
again, possible, not totally plausible.
Right.
post
Yeah.
light socket incident.
Jim, things have changed since our last conversation at the Hopetown Inn and Marina. There's new information from the timestamps and the video that Lynette's daughter Carly and her boyfriend Steve saw that show Lynette and Brian walking out of the Abaco Inn and towards the dock at 6:38-ish. That changes things for you.
Yeah, it really does. It changes it a lot because the initial story of leaving at 7:30 plus, maybe I gave some grace to say that 7:30 could easily become 7:45, and then as you approach 8 o'clock, it's very dark at 8 o'clock. But if the departure was notably earlier, and really I'm saying now what I'm describing is if the departure was from 6:45 really all the way up to 7:30, then that's different. The first version was leaving at dusk, going to dark. But the new time stamp might make it from daylight going to dusk. And that's really a completely different equation. And some of the things of the story just don't hold up.
Well, listen, the dinghy ride out of the White Sound Channel, away from the Abaco Inn, out the White Sound Channel, take a left, head towards Soulmate. That whole dinghy ride's around 10 to 15 minutes. And if you're leaving, and again, I got to be careful because we don't yet know. They're leaving the inn. We don't see the video of them getting in the boat and going. Maybe they went for a walk. Maybe they had a chat on the dock. Maybe they sat on the beach for a bit. But if they went right to the boat and got into that dinghy and took off, that would put them at the spot where he said that Lynette went over at maybe 6:50. Let's just say 6:55. And I could get a suntan at that time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I've had a thought that maybe is a little bit independent of a dependence on the timestamp of that video. Anyone who's been on a sailboat for a long time, anybody who's been around the water, anybody who has a fragile craft is going to be careful to not go out in darkness. So I can't imagine someone not being I mean, it's well known that sailors watch the weather. They watch the sun go down. They avoid going out at night. It's just not done in a fragile craft. There's no reason to press it. And there's no moon that night. I think the moon came up at 10 p.m. So
if he's heading out that White Sound Channel at around 6.
Oh, Sean, we were talking about my favorite mug shot of all time. And it was Scott Peterson's dumbass. So I just put it up there. It's just for tonight. It's not a permanent thing.
Make it permanent! Make it permanent now! 6:50. It's 6:50 p.m. where you are right now as we are recording this, and it is a bright sun behind you.
That's right.
That means there's no way you would lose sight of someone in the water as though it were too dark to see. Not for almost another hour.
That's right. It's total daylight here. Total daylight. And
like bright daylight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise known as daylight.
And it will be for another 45 minutes. And I think
that's a lot of grace. 45 minutes, that's a lot of grace because, again, it's only about a 15-minute trip max in that little 2 to 4 horsepower from the Abaco Inn to the Soulmate
Right.
where it was anchored.
And to me, here's a dilemma that's unanswerable or a problem either way. Brian said that his wife was driving the dinghy, right? And I understand that her daughter Carly has said that he didn't let her drive the dinghy. Well, he probably did. He happened to mention to me when I was with him and returning him from Marsh Harbor to his boat, he happened to mention to me as a point of pride, as a point of independence, that his boat, Soulmate, had not been tied up to a dock in a marina in 2 years. In 2 years, it had always been on a mooring ball or at anchor. Well, if the boat has been for 2 years on a mooring ball at anchor, Lynette would have learned how to drive the boat. Maybe she didn't drive it a lot, but she would have been competent at it. That's just a reality of being on a sailboat for 2 years. So now let's go back to that night at approximately 6:30 or 6:45 or 7 o'clock. Sure, typically men drive.
Please hit that like button.
Sailing couple, the man might be the one most common to drive the dinghy. But if a man were to pass the controls over to his wife, that would be an indication that the water was very safe, that it was daylight. Here's a good time, here's a nice occasion for the wife to take the controls and I can relax. So if she was driving, it would have been in hospitable conditions.
I never even thought of that, but you're right. I mean, listen, I'm a proficient boater, and I think if Chris and I got in the dinghy together and the weather was rough, I probably would have ceded that to him, because you just have to be a little stronger holding on, even to that little light engine. You just have to be a little bit stronger.
That's exactly right. And so if it was getting a little dark, if it was very windy, like I feel like it could have been at least later, then he would have said, I'm going to drive. 99.9% of all men would say, this is tough, I'm going to drive. So
And he says 2 to 4 foot seas, Jim. He says 2 to 4 foot seas. In that, by the way, neither of them would have been driving in 2 to 4 foot seas in that little dinghy. But let's just say they got caught in 2 to 4 foot seas when they came out of White Sound Channel. I do believe you're right. I don't think that the weaker person, be it a man or a woman, would have been at the helm. I think the stronger U.S. Marine would have said, "Let me take over here. This could be hairy."
Absolutely. I would go so far as to say, no way in bad weather would he not be at the controls. And if
there's another,
the assertion that she was at the controls means that the weather was nice. And then to me, that's sort of the dilemma question. If she was at the control in nice weather and she goes overboard, he can see her. There's none of the mitigating circumstance of dark as ink, high waves, lose sight of her quickly. All of those things that sort of make sense. They don't exist if she was driving. He could have seen her. And no one without panic, and no one without panic is not going to throw an anchor out. The anchor is in the bottom of the dinghy, getting in the way. It's impossible to, the anchor wasn't stowed and I didn't think of it, I didn't see it. The anchor's in the bottom of the dinghy, in the way. In daylight.
It's right at your feet.
Yeah.
It's actually hard to step around.
In
it's
daylight.
Big. It's a big anchor,
Right.
about, yay big. It's big and it's in your way.
In daylight, without panic and without intoxication, then everybody will do exactly that. Throw out the anchor. Maybe with a little frustration, maybe with a little, oh, damn it, we got a little situation to resolve. In good weather. If she was driving and it was good weather, it would be almost a non-event. Throw out the anchor, she swims to the boat.
Let me ask you another issue about his story that I think has changed since we.
Well, I don't know if you've seen Clint Eastwood lately, but I think Clint Eastwood's more like the Timu Clint Eastwood. He's like, I think he's like 99 years old now.
I've learned more from our prior interview. Since we spoke with you last, we learned from the last known photo of Lynette alive that she was wearing a light green bathing suit cover-up. That's not something we knew before. What did Brian tell you when you asked him, very specifically, as a search and rescue representative, what was your wife wearing when you last saw her?
Yeah, on Sunday morning, early in the vicinity of 6:30 or 7 o'clock, out in the area where he said the incident took place, me and others are on the dock and we repeat what we had already been told. What was she wearing? And the answer was a two-piece black bathing suit. I'm 100% confident that that's what he said. Partially because when he said that, and I'll be honest, shame on me, when he said that, I thought, that's odd. Women less than 30 don't walk around at a seaside place like the Abaco Inn.
Without a cover.
You could have kept that to yourself, bro.
So that struck me as odd, but I wasn't thinking. Obviously, I wasn't thinking investigation. I was thinking
experience.
Just what are we looking for? He said it was a two-piece black bathing suit, and so we did. Now, as I
Did he say that? Did he say that multiple times? He must have been asked multiple times. What was the last thing you remember seeing her in? What was she wearing? And never once did he say anything other than a two-piece black bathing suit.
That's right. The only thing I can attest to is I clearly remember it one time on the bow of the search boat. Now, I heard it as a search.
Yeah, this dude's never met some of my family.
Multiple times. I heard him say it one time. And
what does that mean? I heard it as a searcher multiple. Tell me about that.
I mean, as a searcher, people telling each other, what are we looking for? We have a text message that says, woman fell over, black bathing suit, that kind of thing.
But no green cover-up.
No green cover-up at all from beginning to end.
So he didn't say it to you that she was wearing a green cover-up, and he didn't say it to anybody else of record that she was wearing a green cover-up so that could get into the zeitgeist and help people find her.
If he said it to somebody else, it did not get into the zeitgeist.
Yeah, and it would have, right? It would have. If he'd said it to someone else in the search team or with the police, you would have known.
Yeah.
This is what I was thinking as well. Sent a picnic basket. Thank you for the picnic basket. It's never been. You know, I agree that they probably were, drinking, but like, I don't know. People who drink a lot don't come off that drunk a lot of the time. That's just my personal experience with it. I'm not much of a drinker myself, but I know people that get shithoused.
On that morning, that was a critical incident. Maybe to the good is that because and
they have to drink an inordinate amount of alcohol for you to really notice that they're particularly drunk.
Said the float that we were looking for was a bright green. We were attuned to green, so if we had seen the green cover-up, then we would have zeroed in on it because it looked like the float. So I don't think that we actually lost an opportunity to search effectively, but he definitely on Sunday morning said nothing about a cover-up. It was only a black two-piece.
I want to drill down a little more than we did last interview, and that is that he mentioned to you he was absolutely not intoxicated. Like, you characterize for me the discussion about, when he was all confused and didn't know where she went over and couldn't really pinpoint the location. Did you talk about alcohol? And if so, what did he say?
We did not talk about alcohol. He did express that confusion and not being able to figure out what happened. As you say, I concluded that he must have been very intoxicated. It was the demeanor of someone who may have been very intoxicated. Then subsequently, when I came to understand that they apparently only had 2 drinks spread out over a period of time, and when Ken, the bartender, said that, I'm characterizing Ken's words, no, I wouldn't call him drunk, maybe tipsy at most. That makes me think that
surprised you.
That makes me think that, okay, he was sober and functional, and anybody in that boat would have been able to perform effectively. For example, we found out another important point to me was that you told me that there were 2 life jackets in the boat. Well,
in the bottom of the dinghy.
In the bottom of the dinghy. He would know that. They know that there's 2 life jackets there. In good weather, or really bad, but in good weather, something happens. He threw this green cushion that's so flat, it would have sailed like a sheet of paper. Well, there's another life jacket there. You could pick that up and throw it sideways, kind of like a discus, and it would have more force, so you could get more distance on it.
Or I'll give you another scenario. If the PF,
Yeah, he's part of the fire and rescue boating thing, and he's everybody that they've talked to, he's maybe said it more than anybody that we've listened to, that the guy's story sucks. But everybody, all right, Scott's got to go. It wasn't permanent. No offense, Scott. We'll see you in another life, brother. Piece of shit. But everybody has pretty much said, yeah, it's like a fire and rescue, but he was the one that helped look fire and rescue search,
If the life jacket is too light and it feels like a sail, put it on, grab the...
He's gone. He's gone permanently, boys and girls.
The other one, jump overboard, swim to her, worry about the dinghy later. You're both safe and you both get to shore, no problem. Or put your life jacket on, grab the other one, grab the other end of the anchor line because the anchor's in the boat and you'll be able to keep it, keep it close to you and jump over. And none of that happens. I would look for the painter. I would look for the line that you tie up to the dock, and I would tie it around my ankle and swim after the person.
Yeah, my scenario is slightly different, but what you described is exactly right. You throw it, if the green thing was close at hand, you throw that. You would immediately see that it flew into the air and didn't do anything.
Yep.
You grab the second one, throw it like a discus. You would have gotten some distance. If that's not effective, again,
throw the second life jacket.
I would grab the last life jacket and go over the side.
And go over.
And
you're only 150 yards from shore. You're a U.S. Marine. You can manage this. Don't worry about the dinghy. You're not going to be in the middle of the ocean and both die.
Right.
You're going to get her, pull her to shore, and then hopefully the next morning flag someone down and say, help us and let's find our dinghy. It's probably over
and that's
on,
the problem.
Lubbers.
Yeah, that's the problem with she was driving, and so it must have been reasonably good weather where you could see, and so they could see each other, and so worst case, grab the last life jacket and go over the side because you're only 10 feet apart. So
I can't explain it either, but I'm glad that we have been able to have this second interview since our first, because again, I didn't want to put your interview out. At the time, you didn't know the information, neither did I. We found out subsequent, so it's changed the dynamic of how you feel. Is there anything else you want to add?
Yeah, well, we already essentially covered it. In anything other than black and panic, and they weren't, as we understand, there wasn't enough alcohol to create panic and confusion, I don't think. The obvious thing for anybody in the boat is to throw the anchor. It's so overwhelmingly obvious, everybody would do it. The other is, short of panic and not being able to see the boat, nobody would ever swim away from the boat. If she's been around boats, it's just impossible that she would swim away from the boat. Blackness, total panic, his voice is gone. Sure, who knows what's going to happen. But with her driving and him sober, I don't believe it was that black as pitch night scenario that I initially evolved to. Yeah. It's like when we first started searching, we went with the most logical action. And I think that made sense. A woman is over the side. What do we know about where it is or where it could be? And we searched that. Complicated theories didn't make sense compared to that. Well, time has passed, and now we've sort of switched regarding what the complicated theory is. If you accept the story, you have to suspend belief on so many things that don't.
First of all, there's nobody would. Okay. 4 to 7 feet of water. It's not pitch black. You're jumping in, dude. You're jumping in. You're just doing it. It's your wife. I knew somebody who jumped in a river for an ice chest full of beer. It's your wife, dude. It's bullshit. It's such a fake story.
Don't add up. And the original obvious thing is the one that requires so much disbelief.
Now, I'm not saying that you should jump overboard for an ice chest full of beer.
Thank you. I can't tell you how much this means to not just me, but our viewers, but also I think to the U.S. Coast Guard investigators who are looking at every one of these inconsistencies.
Well, hopefully it all comes to something. It was very meaningful to see your video of Carly and to see her suffering. She's lost her mom, regardless of the circumstances. She's lost her mom, and that could have been my 2 daughters. And the community here, they feel a connection to Lynette now. And could have been our sister, could have been our mother, could have been our daughter, could have been our wife. And there's a lot of love and compassion going toward Lynette and her family.
They deserve justice. Thank you so much, Jim.
My pleasure.
I want you to see what happened on Saturday, April 18th. Saturday, April 18th is the 2-week mark from the day that Lynette was last seen alive at the Abaco Inn. These ladies, these women that got together, and they don't know Lynette. They just decided she deserved a tribute in flowers on the Sea of Abaco. They held a little service. They've shown me the video, and they've allowed me to send it to Lynette's daughter, Carly, and Lynette's mom, Darlene, but they didn't want to publicize the service that they held. They gave a few words and essentially just said that, we didn't know you, Lynette, but we feel you deserve a tribute, and they donated these flowers. They donated the boat. A couple of the women who were on board said a few words and put these flowers into the Sea of Abaco in a tribute to Lynette. And I cannot think of anything more kind and sweet and fitting. And it really does tell you about the people on Elbow Key. They're like this. They're just really, really nice.
Hey, everyone.
Well, I'm afraid that I think she's gone. And I hope they find her body, and she deserved better. It's just terrible. Terrible. She did. She deserved better than what he did. I mean, just even say he didn't do anything nefarious. She deserved a better response. She deserved a much better effort from him, even though his story is bullshit. I mean, it is bullshit. You can't hear it and not think that. The only one that thinks it's a good story would be him, and that's the best one he could come up with. It sucks. It's a terrible story. Please hit that like button on the way out. I appreciate you guys so much for being here. Thank you again for everything. I hope the hooker gets in trouble. Yeah, he did. He made it up. It's a shitty story. It's a terrible story. Okay, this is pissing me off. Yeah, you can follow. Thank you, Holly. You can follow me on X, Instagram. Where was he for the 8 hours? That's a great question. we do have one indictment. It looks that is David, the stupid singer pedo. Hopefully he gets what's coming to him, and I'm thinking about him in jail tonight. The LA County Jail, the worst jail there is, besides Rikers. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for being here. I think he did. It sounds like he did misdirect him. I mean, that's sort of what the guy was alluding to. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys. DP10 4. Here, I'll play just a few minutes. Give you a little teaser here.
I had nothing to do with Lacey's disappearance. Even if you think I did, think about Lacey. And I know that there's a nation that wants to bring her home.
You are listening to the Roberta Glass True Crime Report, putting the true back in true crime.
No, do not jump overboard for beer. I didn't do that.
From New York City, Roberta Glass is now on the record.
I don't even like beer.
On Christmas Eve 2002 in Modesto, California, Scott Peterson's pregnant wife, Lacey Peterson, went missing. Scott told law enforcement that he was fishing at the time of Lacey's disappearance, and when Lacey and Connor's body surfaced on the shore of the San Francisco Bay on April 18, 2003, all suspicion turned to Scott Peterson. Peterson was convicted of the murder of Lacey Peterson in 2004 and sentenced to death by lethal injection in 2005. In 2020, his death sentence was overturned and Peterson was sentenced to life without parole. Rabia Chaudhry, who rose to fame advocating for the innocence of Hayman Lee's killer, Anand Syed, has a new podcast entitled Rabia and Ellen Solved Crimes. No, that's not what it's called. In fact, it's called Rabia and Ellen Solve the Case. And in the first episode, they discuss the murder of Lacey Peterson, concluding that Scott Peterson
podcast, I think it appeals to people on the other side that don't like circumstantial evidence, that don't like connecting dots. Everybody wants DNA with a photo of the killer committing the crime or video. There's a big push on that kind of stuff these days where a lot of people do not like circumstantial evidence for whatever reason. And I happen to love circumstantial evidence.
Well, what's interesting is I'm working on a case where they just released a guy who was caught on tape and identified by his father. It really doesn't matter what the evidence is. Whatever the strongest evidence is, they're going to try to attack it. I mean, that's been my experience. But in this case, this is really, like we were talking beforehand, this is really a circumstantial case of a lot of circumstantial evidence.
Right.
I think the way the lead detective described it in an interview was like each individual strand of evidence may be not strong on itself, but combined, it's like a very strong web of evidence against him. And I was not familiar with this case, but they set it up like that this was a moral panic or a kind of pitchforky mob that Rabia says she was a part of, and that she's deeply ashamed that she was part of the mob. That the police wanted this mob. They wanted to create this mob by feeding the press stories. I'm not even exactly sure what the connection between the press and the police is, but they constantly refer to the police say, and they never refer to the evidence presented in court.
Rarely do contrarians point out the stuff that makes their argument look weak. When you're talking about circumstantial evidence like you just were, I heard a really smart lawyer talk about this once. He said, one circumstance by itself can snap in half. 1,000 of them, you really can't do it. And I'm not saying there's 1,000 of different circumstances, but it's a pretty thick book of circumstantial evidence, just behavioral, and then the mistress involved. And it's overwhelming to me that people defend Scott.
They talk about that they're only going to deal in facts and they're going to present buried evidence. The first was his decision to go fishing. They totally normalize. What are the problems with his fishing trip?
It's Christmas Eve. Who doesn't spend time with their family then? Why did he go an hour and a half away? That, he didn't have to go that far. And then the fact that I believe, 4 months after, she's found in the bay where he was fishing that day.
Right.
4 months later. And that right there, I don't believe in coincidences. And that would be the biggest coincidence of all time.
Right. He tells some people that he was going golfing. A bunch of people testified that Scott told them that he was golfing at the time Lacey disappeared.
Yes.
Told one cop that he was golfing. He told other cop he was fishing. He said he was sturgeon fishing. Sturgeons are enormous, but in a tiny boat. It was 40 degrees out. This is the best part of Ellen and Rabia's podcast. 40-degree weather. Of course, you're going to rather be on the water than be golfing because you could have hot cocoa and it would be sort of nicer to be on a cold, drafty water than walking around and warming up playing golf.
I'd much rather be in the bay when it's freezing cold than on a golf course,
Even Ellen realized her misstep there and said, "Oh, I think we're going to get some letters."
I think maybe she's onto something. Maybe sitting in the middle of a body of water when it's freezing is a good idea to them, and they should definitely try it and see how much they enjoy it because it's ridiculous.
I'm not even done with the problems with the fishing trip. He bought a 2-day fishing pass on December 20th and filled in the dates the 23rd and 24th as to when he would be fishing. So this...
Guys, make sure to go over and check that out. It's a good one. Roberta's the best. You guys have a good night.